Always.
All
right.
All right, I will call the Village of Lake Park, March 12th, 2024 meeting to order. Councilman Barton will lead us in the invocation.
Lord, in our world with so many issues, too many to mention, we thank you that we in our village have purpose and hope in how we live and serve all in our community. May we all continue to move forward and pray for your guidance now and in the future. Amen.
Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody sign up for public comment? Sorry. Nothing?
No.
All right. Teresa,
Observe.
you good? All right. Item 3, approval of minutes in your packet that Teresa sent out. You have minutes from the February 13th regular session as well as the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve both sets of minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Mark made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, who seconded? They both said it.
Pick up one of any of us.
Steve, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. All of us said second.
Pick one.
We also have the agenda before you. There were no changes to the agenda since it came out, but if you saw, we moved around some of the items just to get public services up towards the top. Because we've got some guests tonight under public services. Item 5 is the sheriff's statistics. Headland is on duty today. He may be out on the call right now. Because I know he was coming. Their statistics for February showed 6 alarm activations in the village, 58 general calls for service, 266 preventative patrols, 55 traffic stops, and 40 other self-initiated calls. Any comments or questions you want to send back to the sheriffs?
You seem pretty consistent at 55 traffic stops, right?
Yeah. All right. And then the report from Hemi Bridge Fire Department in February, 11 medical calls in the village, 3 fire calls, 3 calls that were canceled en route, and 1 service call, which is about the average numbers that they've been seeing. Mark had posted some stuff about the new fire station a week or 2 ago. I talked to Johnny Blythe this weekend, and it was about the same report. They're optimistic for a May grand opening, but with the rain season coming in, they're not sure that they'll make that, but that's what they're still shooting for. So. Item 6, public services waste collection, and I'll turn it over to Jim.
Thanks, Jeremy. So in your packet, you have bids. We put out bids. We had a session with all the vendors who come in, and we had a talk and went through the bid and had, everything was good there. We had 3 vendors show up. And we, at the sealed bid we received 2 sealed bids, which are in front of you, and here there, it's exhibit A for both Waste Pro and active waste collection solutions, excuse me. And both and Waste Management sent us an email and said they weren't going to,
Connections.
excuse me, Waste Connections, I'm sorry, sent us an email and said they were not going to be supplying a bid as they only have ALS trucks, and Lake Park cannot use ALS trucks in its service. It has to be real loaded.
Right.
So we have 2 bids in front of us. And I will, these bids, we went through, they are all compared to apples. We, as you can see, going across, there are 8 categories that council has asked to have the vendor supply us with service. Their bids range from, give me 1 second while who it is. Range went from active management is 860, I got my last one, sorry. 862,925 through 1,075,681. And the last one is what the services would be that we have today. And then for Waste Pro, they ranged from 334,462 to 368,079. And again, that last number is for services that we currently have today. So there, I'm just gonna, we have a number of things to do tonight. And the first one, I just open up, do you guys have any questions on these two exhibit A's that we have here in front of us?
The first question I had, and I know that y'all have already answered it for me, was were we sure we were apples to apples based on this large disparity in pricing?
Yes, there was in the, when we opened up the sealed bid, we went through and read everything, and we made sure that the numbers were good numbers from each bidder. So those are all good numbers and apples to apples.
No, go ahead.
I had the same question too, when we're looking at the minimum bid, we're looking at over $500,000 difference.
Yes,
I mean, is,
that, they just said those what the numbers came up with. And that was that was a question. I wanted to make sure cells were formulas, everything was accurate, and they were. So, any other questions?
It looks like me, we have a company that wants to do business with us and one that don't. And they put a high bid out there because they didn't want to do business with us. That's what I come back to when I see something that much different, so they're apples to apples.
that kind of person.
You got a company that
That
wants
is
to
a
work with you.
possibility. I don't want to
Put a
I
high
don't
bid
want to
out.
say that, but they, I will say this for that, for Active Waste Solutions, that they did also bring on 2 towns this year, and this would be a third, and it could be an equipment issue. Don't know the answer. So,
We have a representative here.
okay, yeah,
My name's John Uvars. I'm retired. I'm actually former director of solid waste for Union County. And that the trucks are not, equipment is not the issue whatsoever. If you look at the low bid that you have there, perhaps you might want to compare that to what you're currently spending for their services. I think they just made some mistakes in the bid. They can't do it for that amount. So I'm just passing that along to you. They're a good company. I'm familiar with their services, of course. And so are we. So it's more than, it's not apples to apples. Because of the rear loader, if we were running automated side loaders, you'd have to run it for that. It'd be tough, but you can't do that here. Those trucks can collect twice as much garbage as a rear loader can. They just can't fit. They just can't fit here. So anyway, that's it has nothing to do with equipment. That's a good solid price for Active Waste. It's not a good price for Waste Pro. That's just my opinion, mind you.
Yeah, I'll go back one slide just so our current contract with Waste Pro is $223,474, which is about 5.7 cents of tax to get to that number, just so that, I didn't point that out in there. Yeah.
I was gonna go into that.
Sure, yeah, I just was coming back to that slide.
Yeah, so, yes, and just to raise a point here to go through, if we went service for service over, waste, with Waste Pro, that is a 63% increase over our current service for service, what they have, that number. So they're providing us with service for the, right now, for the 224.
Yeah.
And now, that's gonna go up to 368. If the council selects Waste Pro, so knowing, and going over here and looking at, up on the slide, as you've got what the tax rate is for each and the ranges for each. So looking at that, we're looking at, currently we're at 5.7 cents of our tax. And going over the range on tax side, thinking is for Waste Pro is 8.6 to 9.5 cents to the tax rate. And waste, active waste would be 22.3 to 27.8% of the tax rate. And our current tax rate is 20.25.
0.2025.
Yeah, 2025. Yeah, so we, you know, the council, I guess the question we're going to ask, do you have any questions about the both bids of where things are? You have any questions? You have representative from both companies that can answer anything. Just want to make sure.
I'll start with the obvious question. Can you do it for this price?
Thank you very much. My name is Melinda Barkley. I'm with Waste Pro. I'm the municipal marketing. Ted Good is our division manager. We are very familiar with the nuances of this community. We've been a service provider for many years. I am confident that the numbers that we presented before you are the numbers to maintain and continue the partnership. So just to clear the air on that, there is not a discrepancy in our number. There was not a miscalculation. Those are the numbers that we presented and the numbers that we stand behind.
Follow up or any other questions?
Kind of says it all.
Okay, so, then the question that comes up before the council right now is selecting a vendor. Once we select the vendor, then we would get into going through the 8 is where I would go from here. We have representatives, so we can dig into to which bid you would take of the 8 categories, and I will go through and explain how that's all brought up. So,
At this point, do we just select by the census or?
Somebody make a motion to select the vendor.
okay, I'm gonna put a motion out to hands raised for Waste Pro and hands raised for Active Waste Solutions. So all for Active Waste Solutions. Okay, all for Waste Pro. Okay, so motion out there to select Waste Pro as our next vendor.
Jim's made a motion to select Waste Pro as the next vendor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Steve, second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
Okay. All right, thank you for that, gentlemen. Now, next, digging into these and looking at this, you will see there are basically 8 columns on the top third that start with weekly. And the first column is what services we have today. And the services we have today is everything's collected every single day, every week, solid yard waste recycle in bulk. There's no calling or anything, it's just they drive around, they pick up everything. The second one is, which is the exact same as the first number, and that was we thought that maybe there would be bulk goods would be picked up from on an as-need basis, so any resident would need to call in and get those, and there was no change between those 2 prices. Third column is to say bulk pickup would be picked up. It would still say with call in, by the way, for the rest of these, bulk is strictly call in. You've got to call to tell them you have what you have, and they will come by and pick up what you told them they had. If there's anything additional, they leave it. They don't take everything, they just take what was called in. And so the third column would say, let's pick it up bulk goods every 2 weeks. And that still came out to be the exact same price, no difference. As it doesn't matter if it's picked up once or every, the way the trucks work, that's how it will be picked up. The third one, the fourth one would be saying, if we removed the commercial part of this. So as you look on your Schedule A for Waste Pro, you will see where it's got going down the left column. We have what we have for our residents. There's a commercial, which is the first commercial is the condos waste collection. And then the other commercial locations are what we're paying for the commercial entities here. Town Center, Central Church, Wonder Academy, and Miss Deeds. So If you remove that, that drops that down to $360,000. I'm just giving round numbers here. You have the exact numbers there in front of you. Then going down to the fourth column, we said, let's move recyclables to every other week along with bulk. And that dropped the price down to $341,000. And then again, the next line is that same, just recycle and bulk waste every other week with the commercial side of that gone, which brings it down to $334,000. The last one here is saying, let's make yard waste every other week as well. And that brings, the price still is $341,873, and again, $334,862, as those are gonna be, whether they're there every other week or every week, it's the same amount. So there was no change. So just going through that high level and saving, I'm just gonna say that the first three columns are a 63% increase. Fourth column is a 59% increase. Fifth column is a 51% increase. Sixth column is a 48%, and then that just repeats again, 51 and 48% increase over our current services. So with that all being said, does anyone have any questions?
I've got a couple questions here.
Shoot.
As we learned through some of our conversations with our email, is presented to us in kind of an a la carte format, but it's not really. Because we were talking about the bulk waste.
Right.
And it appears to me now, first off, first question, no matter when we're picking up bulk waste, it's all the same. Is the theory there that you're still getting the same amount, just it's no matter
Correct,
when?
you're just gonna shift the number of hours from, each week to basically doubling up on the secondary week.
Same amount
So,
regardless, so you're.
Same volume, same time.
So can we pretty much, if we decide to change things around, can we move that around with different, like, just say, for example, if we wanted to remove, we have the one column here where we remove the commercial, but that also has, doing the bulk every 2 weeks. We do the bulk every week and remove the commercial. That wouldn't pose an issue on your end of it. You follow me there?
Just wanna clarify, if you remove the commercial portion,
Let's say we take your column one and just remove commercial from column one.
But not the condominiums.
Not the condominiums,
Not the
correct,
condominiums.
right, just the commercial ones that
The
we were
other
talking,
classification.
the other commercial classification one.
I think that becomes that column right here. It's a 360.
Well, but that has the every 2 weeks, that's what I'm saying, if we just go,
Well, bulk is.
we can move that around however we want on the bulk.
So
correct?
bulk is, it doesn't matter, because it's the same price across.
Mhm.
So the question then comes to, what that price means is just the 360 on column 4 is just recycling, the commercial removed. And the bulk can stay every week, doesn't matter, it's the same price.
yeah, you kind of have two variables, the way I'm looking at it. One was whether or not you determined to move recycling from a weekly collection to every other week, moving into the 95-gallon carts for those handful of approximately 100 who still have 18-gallon bins. And then the other component would be whether you have the commercial entities in or out. So those are really kind of the two pricing structures.
So you'll do any of the other ones without the commercial there?
That's-
It'd be, okay, I figured that, but I just wanted to make sure, because I know we had questions
Great
about
question,
bulk
yeah.
waste.
Yeah, so those three pricing, which starts at the town center, and then the Miss DDs, those would just remove from
Remove from
your
whatever, okay.
net number.
Which brought it down to 360, 68. That's keeping recycling every week. So if you remove recycling to every other week, that drops the number down to 334, 462, which drops that from 59% to 48%. So savings. Now, 48% means roughly a 3-cent increase in our tax rate to pay for it. And just knowing that we were coming into budget season, it's 3 cents for that one that needs to be added.
Say that again.
So breaking that down, because that number comes into, we currently pay 5.7 cents
Right.
into our tax rate for our current services, adding 48% for recyclable every other week is adding another approximately 3 cents to our tax rate.
Instead of like 20 and a quarter, it'd be 23 and a quarter.
Right, just to pay for it, yes. Now that equates, it's roughly just over $37,000 we come in for every penny increase. So that means for a 3 cent increase to a house that is roughly, depending upon the value of the house, it could be anywhere from $63 to $130 additional tax per year. Depending upon the valuation of the house.
Yeah.
And some of them would be more than that, but that's average.
It'd be what?
I'm sorry?
How much average?
Between 130 to 73 to approximately 130. Typical.
Of the other towns you guys service, do any of those towns provide commercial service at their expense?
There are a handful, to name them right off the top of my head. I
50/50
couldn't do.
of the towns you service
No, sir, it would be more like 15%.
provide commercial service?
Can I ask a question? So for the town of Monroe, you don't supply commercial service, but you do have places because of the gatherings and activities downtown where they have some dumpsters.
Yes.
Yes.
We do have a host of commercial containers that we service for them, more so related to
Town business.
the city itself.
Town business, not to a private.
Private,
entity.
right. Is there anyone in Union or Mecklenburg County that you are picking up,
That the
commercial?
town and or city is
Mhm.
subsidizing for,
Commercial,
Private industry.
those are,
If I might, it's a common thing for municipalities, for their dumpsters to be serviced under a contract like this, no charge.
Yeah, I understand that, but is it a common practice for municipalities to provide
Commercial.
a restaurant with their dumpster at the city's cost?
For a fee only. They pay
Right,
for
yeah,
it.
sure.
Yeah.
At almost every, right, Melinda, in almost every instance.
in almost every, again, there's just a small
Yeah.
handful, but mostly it's, small businesses that would be able to have up to, 2, 3, or 4 based on your ordinance of a small 95-gallon cart.
Right.
That would be serviced, but to get into true dumpster style, services, it's a not common practice.
Right. Yeah,
So
so
that's
that's
one
one
of
of containers, absolutely, that happens.
Right.
Ballpark,
If you have a
what did
fee-
we pay with Waste Pro this current year, not counting the extension?
224,000. That's what's budgeted. Our budget number is 223,474, that's straight out of the budget.
and that's with the increase in tipping fees that occurred starting in January. I think it's 226.
I got it straight from, maybe there's been a budget amendment. I got this from the,
We pulled it
Adopted
from
budget.
the- I'm just looking at the February report.
yeah, I got it from the
Okay,
original
you
adopted
updated
budget.
your number, okay.
I don't recall us talking about this, but what type of term are we gonna be talking about with this contract?
This contract is for a 5-year term.
And do we have escalations in it? For the CPI or,
Yes, it's an annual, review that would be effective July of each year.
and how will we be affected if the landings, our new development comes into play? We're gonna have to decide how we're gonna do trash with them, whether they're being condominiums, would they be?
They're townhomes. So they'll be just like our townhomes currently are, they'll get trash cans and carts at that point.
in carts, and then that would increase, it's 148.
What did we end up with, 52?
I was thinking 100.
150, give or
I
take.
thought it was
Yeah.
154, but I won't swear to
A
it.
little more, yeah, somewhere give or take on that, so.
So, but at that time when, I mean, we're talking 2+ years before that ever happens, and it's gonna be a rollout of adding 10, 20, you know. as they
We'll have
sell
more
them.
people paying taxes too.
Right, have more people paying taxes, but that's gonna be rolled out over time, and I'm assuming you just add those.
It's an incremental change as your CO happens for those build outs, we would just supply the carts. It would adjust the invoicing by the 1, 2, you know,
Whatever it is.
incrementally, to move forward, and that would just happen each month as you're building out.
You talk about bulk pickup, or you gonna talk about that later? Cause I got some questions on that.
We can talk about bulk pickup right now. Ask away.
So when I first saw the document and I was beginning the process, it comes down to taxes and we can go the $1 million route and we can levy a 22-cent tax on people, which will double our tax rate, or we can go the other route. So as we're looking at that and we're trying to think about dollars and cents, you know, the first thing that came up was, well, there are communities that don't provide bulk service. And bulk is quoted on this document at $4,400 a month. So one of the very early on discussions in the past week were we can cut $54,000 by cutting out bulk and let the user be the ratepayer. And I would prefer my taxes to only go up by $0.015 because I don't use bulk, and let the people that get bulk pay you guys for bulk. But then we found out, I guess, last night that that's not really a true reflection of bulk pickup. So we can't just cut out bulk and save that money.
The short answer is that is correct.
Um,
The longer answer is because of the style of services that are provided here, with it being a rear load, the truck and the team is picking up whatever's on the curb at that time. It's all going to the same facility at the same disposal rate, so those services are kind of incrementally added into the collection.
So I guess it doesn't matter, but I would ask, or I'm inclined to ask, why would you not just include that in the solid waste cost? Because if we look at some numbers that were in our current budget, it was quoted that we're paying $11.34 for solid waste right now per household. And that's if you take 1,220 and divide it into that $2,200 or whatever. So I guess the question that really and truly doesn't matter is why would you guys not have proposed it that way? How did you come up with $4,400 for bulk if you have no idea what bulk really costs? You just swag the number to put there, or?
We use historic information that's kind of global. We've used our own data from, drivers' information, kind of intelligence, out there for what's happening. And then also because your price sheet asked for all the components, so.
Yeah. So you had to come up with a number to put there, so you just backed into a number, put there, which is fine. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying.
We did our best. We could have loaded it all on the solid waste, yes, sir.
Right, yeah.
But the pricing sheet did not. For that.
Yeah, I understand. So then that became the next piece of conversation was, well, if we've got to pay for bulk no matter what, we certainly wouldn't reduce to every other week because we're taxing the people at this rate. So if they've got bulk, they should get it picked up if they're paying for it. That's just my opinion. Then the next piece of that was, well, this track system that you guys have, so we could institute, we're gonna pick up their bulk, but they're not gonna do it just carte blanche. They gotta call in and schedule and say, I'm at 5311 Conifer and I've got bulk pickup this week and here are the items.
It's a recommendation, but that's really at your direction and or through the conversation of the contract negotiations. It's a recommendation just to start monitoring for the town's visibility as well as ours, exactly what we're picking up at which location. But again, that's strictly at your
So-
direction.
So my question, I think, comes in though is, and I'm not hard feeling one way or the other as far as what we're about to talk about, but if that system can accurately predict how much bulk we pick up historically, if that becomes the markers that we can now in 2 years look back and say, we had 43 bulk pickups in 2 years. So then bulk pickup really shouldn't cost $54,000, it should be $11,000. I'm just throwing numbers out there.
I'm not opposed to, 2 years from now, looking at historic information and having a conversation with you about that.
Yeah, but, and so to continue with my questions though, it's what honestly are we really viable to get good information on that? Because when your trucks leave your shop to come out here, are they gonna have a list of the houses to stop at to get bulk?
They would.
All right, so my house I live at 5811 Craig, and there are 3 of us on that alley, and the truck backs down our alley. And our address is not anywhere in the alleyway, so he's gonna back down that alley, they're gonna get out and they're gonna walk around the crest and see what my address is and come back to see whether they need to pick up that bulk or not, or they're just gonna throw it in the truck and go. Like, how are we really gonna get accurate information? I'm truly asking, because I just don't see how you can do it. Unless the driver has a log, and are they gonna log every bulk pickup? And are they gonna walk around to the front of my house to see my address and come back to get the bulk, or how's that gonna work? I'm concerned about it. If we're taxing our people to pick up their bulk, now we're gonna ask them to call to get it picked up. We're putting another step on them, which I'm not opposed to, if we can get information and we can negotiate with that information down the road. But are we gonna really get accurate information?
Are we actually asking them to call? Because the way I read this with the 1 star down below, it says weekly pickup for all, no prearranged pickup.
Right.
So it can go either way, but
It's all the same.
it's all the same, but I'm not opposed to it. Jim and Cherie, I've talked to both of them, think we should go that route so that we can catalog that information. And they just said that's their recommendation too, and I'm not opposed to it, as long as it's gonna work. As long as it's,
Well, the thought process on that was that the resident is going to say, I have these 5 items, whatever those 5 items are, for pickup. If they have 6, they're only gonna pick up 5. They're not gonna pick up the 6th one. It wasn't called in and it wasn't said. That's going to be education to our residents. Yeah, list them out what they're going to take. So that in itself is going to help with, as what we're going at, if they have, you got 2 residents out there, which one's going around? If there's only 1 out there, there's only 1. If there are 2, and they say, we're only picking up 1, and this is what we're picking up, they're gonna be able to see from what is there, which one they're supposed to pick up. I would assume.
so when I call in to get bulk pickup, I've gotta say I've got a mattress, a headboard,
A bed frame.
a bed frame, and
Refrigerator.
a refrigerator.
And don't stick out a dresser later, because it's not gonna get picked up.
And the drivers leave your shop with that list and they go there, and if I've put a broom out there as well, they're not supposed to take the broom, because that's not on the list. And I'm not being facetious. Yeah, I understand. They're gonna err on the side of customer service and take the broom, which I can appreciate, for sure. That's what I'm saying, if it's beneficial truly to catalog the information, I'm not opposed to it, but we're also putting a little bit more onus on the taxpayer that we're already, they're gonna take the bulk no matter what. And if they put it out there and they didn't call, I mean, the 2 guys coming behind my house are great. I mean, I love them to death. I don't know their names, but they're great. They won't I don't put out construction debris, by the way, but they don't take that, but they'll take anything else we put out there because that's what they're contracted to do. And I appreciate it. I mean, they do a wonderful job.
Can
Mayor,
I,
can I interject something on behalf of Waste Pro?
I have a question.
If they go down that alleyway, chances are you're gonna have the only bulk out there, and if it doesn't get picked up because they picked up the wrong one, you're gonna call the next day and they're coming right back. That's the way that works. Now, also, I will say, in our contract with Weddington, and Marvin, we supply bulk pickup, but we handle all that, and the customer does pay for it. They call in and the customer does pay. So I believe you have that option, something you can negotiate.
Yeah, but the issue is, right now, unless the state has some historical data based on bulk, we have no idea how much bulk is put out every week. Unless we're gonna become the bulk Nazis and everyone's gonna volunteer to drive different sections to keep up with what's happening.
Why is it important to know that?
If you don't know how much bulk you're picking up, you're not gonna know, can we renegotiate? If say tonnage wise, our tonnage stays the same, which we have to have tonnage in solid waste every month in order to do a state report. So if that tonnage stays the same, or it only goes up, it's either gonna drop or it's going to go up. Because if we're tracking all of a sudden bulk waste, to know that means that you can also look at it to say, oh, well, we see historically that the renters put out this much, and homeowners only put out this much. There may needs to be a conversation of, you know,
It
what
just
do you
gives you
charge?
data.
It gives you
That's all it
data.
does. It gives you data to where you
Yeah.
can make.
And then the next question, what would you do with that data?
The only reason for that data that I can see from this side of the dice is to negotiate down the road of,
Lower
hey,
price.
we only have.
10 tons of
Because the
bulk.
first question I asked Jim yesterday, when we thought we could just cut out bulk was, all right, do we have 20 people a week to put out bulk, or do we have 200?
We don't know.
to Put out bulk,
That's right.
and I didn't think we knew, and we don't know.
So
No,
why
no.
can't we do the reverse instead of having people call in, like, let's say we're gonna change this next week. Instead of people calling in for the first year, so to speak, why don't we just have Waste Pro keep a list of how much they pick up on a weekly or whatever we're gonna do, bi-weekly basis? And that way we can research that in reverse a year down the road and say, okay, we had X number of pieces of bulk picked up over the course of this year by month, as opposed to having people call in. Give us more factual data to say, well, we need to change this around, or let's leave it the way it is. I think that's the easier way to go than trying to tell everybody, hey, you want bulk picked up, you gotta call in first. Because that's gonna get messed up. I can't see how it's gonna go easy, at least the first year around. And as you say, it's up for renegotiation, the contract, what, every 2 years, 1 year?
No, the
Five.
contract is set for 5 years.
Right.
She said she would talk in 2 years once we got there.
And
Okay.
Mark, I'll go over to you, ask questions, you raise your hand.
Yeah, let's say I lived out in Union County somewhere, I had a little 1/4 acre plot, a little small house on it. And I called you up for trash service, would you be able to service my little place? And I'm not a member of an HOA or a village or anything, it's unincorporated. And if I said I have one of those, trash, bins, I have a recycle bin,
We would, supply.
and I put out a couch every week.
We would not pick it up.
You would,
We would not pick it up.
Neither would we,
Mm-hmm.
you would not pick up the bulk weight or any of it,
for an extra fee.
We would-
Yeah, for an extra fee, we would.
so they have to take it to the dump.
They have to take it to the dump, unless you pay a fee to them.
It's a completely separate truck, so everything that you have here is a rear load truck. You can throw everything in the rear load truck. What you're talking about, I would run in an ASL truck, the same as he would, right? We're looking for efficiency, so we can get a lot more houses with an ASL and less labor. You guys have a rear load truck, which requires 2 people. I have to have one on the back and one driving the truck. So we're riding through the town. If it's bulk, we pick it up. We don't look, we don't see what it is, we don't care, we grab it, we go, right? We don't track it. We just know it's part of your contract, grab, go.
We have a neighborhood that's on the way out the backside of our neighborhood, Beverly Drive and whatnot. It's a neighborhood, it's probably built in, I don't know, 50s or 60s or whatever it was, it's older. But, so these people
It's a neighborhood.
all have to take them to the dump.
Okay.
They cannot get trash service.
Yeah, they can.
They could.
It's got
They have to pay for it, but they can
Well, I
get
know
it.
they have to pay for it, but my question is how much would they pay? Or would they pay as much as we're
$75
paying?
a quarter.
So,
Divide our $370,000 by 1,200, that's basically what they would pay?
No, there would be a little bit more.
They would?
They would be more. Because you
I
guys
mean, are we
are a
getting much of a
municipality.
discount?
Yeah, you guys get a discount because you give it mass, right?
And it's also one bill that we're issuing
Yeah.
to you versus, chasing down 1,220.
You're trying to
individual.
are you trying to back into what private trash service costs? Is that what you're trying to
Kinda, yeah.
get? So what's a good number for private trash service?
$75 a quarter for you, not counting your bulk.
So
I just paid $100.
$300.
$3 a month.
$300 a year, plus bulk.
I have private service, I just pay 105.
For the quarter.
You pay how much?
Yeah, active waste.
105? Where are you at?
Price Mill subdivision near Wesley Chapel Elementary School.
Well, the prices have gone up, because I don't
They
follow
have
it.
gone up consistently.
Yeah, 75,
But I
yeah,
just
that's right, I
happened to-
retired 4 years ago. so-
Right. And it used to be
Yeah,
75.
the inflation rate, we don't need to talk about that. And diesel fuel.
Of the
You're
other,
looking at anywhere from, I would say low end $27 to 35 a month.
But again, that's being serviced with an ASL truck,
right, yeah, I'm-
just.
I thought that's what he was trying to back into, I just wasn't making sure. The other towns you provide service to, are they doing the call-in service for that's an active program that you guys have now, you're using?
It is an active program.
360.
Not everyone is on the program. We still ride streets in a couple. And what I mean by ride streets is we go up and down every street to make sure there is or is not bulk there, right? The same as yard waste. So we do have a handful that are on the call-in service that are in Union County. And that will call in, we'll schedule it, and we either go out same day as trash service or once a week or twice a week, whatever it calls for.
So if we do call in bulk, are you gonna is that gonna be on the same day that our trash is picked up by the same truck? You're not sending a different truck?
You don't want me to send a different truck because it adds more.
Yeah, I agree.
So my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, since we have a rear load truck, so what's picked up with solid waste every day is the same truck that's gonna pick up the bulk.
Right,
Because it's all going into the same, and that's why we don't have numbers to break that up.
right, I
Because
understand.
the weight is all fit. So once we break them out and knowing what it is, if we have them call in and say, hey, we have a mattress, box frame, bed frame, and a refrigerator, you can back into a rough number of weight, and then you can, back into it that way.
That's all you're doing. You're using it for data to see down the road, is this something that we want to continue to do for our residents, or do we want to cut it out? Right?
And if so,
How
And
much
what
weight
the
is it?
impact would be
Yeah,
Right.
to you as well as to the
Right,
individual
right.
resident.
and to see if you have the same resident doing multiple, right? You have some that will clean out every week, and you have some that never use it.
Right.
My question for you is
Thank you.
realistically,
I'll make a suggestion and I'll be on my way. What I would suggest you do is have somebody during spring cleanup coming up, okay? Everybody's gonna be doing this stuff. Just ride around, take a loop or two and see how many's out there. And that'll give you an idea as to how many you have. That may help you make the decision. Contract doesn't start till July. So I would perhaps look at that, and then you get an idea. You want your streets clean. I mean, you're balancing money versus great customer service, and if they do the whole thing for you, you're gonna pay extra to do that, but you're not gonna have many complaints or eyesores out there because someone's called in, the day after garbage collection, and that kind of thing. So from a clean streets perspective, if you can afford it, let them run the whole thing. That'd be my suggestion.
Right. We appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care. See you later.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I say something? I don't know if this has any relevance, But there is a guy, I mean, we had a lot of stuff picked up that probably would have been considered bulk, that has been picked up by some guy that always drives around
Yeah.
and takes the stuff. He took a whole garage door, our old garage door. He took
You
that
shouldn't have
whole
put that out
thing.
anyway.
Instructions.
Well, he, no, my husband asked him, watched for him and asked him if he would take that.
So it's
garage.
metal and
Yes.
he can.
Yeah.
Scrap metal.
So they're gonna be selective in what they get. You put a mattress out there, it's gonna stay.
Yeah.
You put a couch out there, it's
Oh,
gonna stay.
God,
You
yes.
put anything metal, they'll come through and grab it because they take it straight to the scrap yard.
Yeah, he
Just
does.
for clarity here, since that gentleman's suggestion, we're not even discussing whether we do bulk or we don't, because it's not, we're not saving any money. We can't cut bulk out and save. any money.
Correct.
He didn't understand that based on his last comment. So that's not even what's up for discussion here. It's just.
But he was saying $75 a quarter is $25 a month, times 1,200 is $30,000 a month, times 12 is $360,000 a year. So $360 and $25 a month, we're basically throwing in, bulk pickup for 8,000 and paying full price that a single person can pay up there.
You're quicker with those numbers than I am. I don't, you lost.
I don't debate.
I followed his math, and I get his
Yeah,
math.
I don't debate what you just
Now,
said.
you gotta remember too, his numbers were with the automatic truck pickup
They're
too,
with the ASL.
the ASL, which is why his number was so different.
And it also appeared that the cost might be $105.
Yeah,
Yeah.
75 turned into 105 real quick too.
With the same thing. So the question before us, Jim, truly is do we want to call in or do we not want to call in? That's a question to be answered.
That is a question to be answered, and, well, yes, that is a question to be answered. But that doesn't need to be answered here tonight. The question that needs to be answered here tonight is, what service do you want? Now, I am going to say, in my opinion, that row number 6, which is, recycle picked up every other week. Bulk will just stay picked up every single week. I know it says every other week here, but there's no change in the price. So
Column 6, right?
column 6. Did I say row 6? I apologize. Column 6. And no commercial pickup, no private commercial pickup, which brings us to $334,000 a year, which is a 48% increase, which is approximately 3 cents added to our tax rate to pay for it. That is my suggestion of what we should select.
Bulk rate would be what?
Bulk rate would be,
What's on the paper?
it'll be picked up every single week,
Just like it is.
just like it is now. No change to that.
The only change would be every other week recycle.
Recycle, that's the only
And
change.
we would change out the 18 gallons to 96 gallons, so people wouldn't run over, right? And then get rid of your front load. Put it on the business.
So that is my suggestion, and I'm just gonna open that up for discussion to the whole council.
The one thing I can see happening right now is the individual residents are gonna be confused. They're gonna have bulk out there, they're gonna leave it out there for a week until it comes around again. What kind of enforcement matters are we gonna have on
You
that?
know what? That's exactly how our awesome newsletter and Facebook and
I'm
communication
there, but you can only feed a horse to water, you can't make a
handle.
So, okay, so there is education that needs to come up, and I'm gonna just say this right now, I was gonna hold it for budget, but I'll just say it right now. The state pays us approximately, roughly, I'm just gonna use a round number, rounded $3,000 a year. And I was gonna ask to take that for education material. I was also gonna speak with Waste Pro to turn around and say, what do you have for educational material that we can blanket the village with this understanding this is what's going to happen July 1st. So, I was thinking, hey, we have to put a calendar out there. We have to, put some magnets, understand what is the difference between bulk and construction. Give them a lot of information. over the course of here for the 3 months, and then every quarter going out to every single resident and doing that. And that puts that onus on me, and I'm saying that right now, to go around and put it on, not in people's mailboxes or anything, but put it at their front door.
I don't know that you need to put it on their front door as much as tie it to their trash can.
Tie it to the trash can.
And if we're tying it to the trash can, the decision, the
They'll rip it
discussion,
off and put it in.
the discussion comes up, well,
But then they can't say they didn't get it.
that's right.
So that's it. If they're gonna throw it away, that's up to their problem.
But, and maybe discussion.
And then I'm
could
gonna
be-
take pictures of these people and post it and say, these folks.
But the true only change you're
I'm
talking.
watching you, Claudia, for.
Is recycle every other week.
Recycle every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, and is that recycling every 2 weeks for the whole neighborhood, or is it like this section this
No, no.
week,
No,
that
no.
section next week?
Everybody.
Everybody's saying.
So in a perfect world, the first thing Mecklenburg County did when they rolled out every 2 week recycle, you had a magnet. And it had the entire year on it, and green was recycle. And it said green equals recycle, and had the entire year on there. It's already on the website for lakeparknc.gov. The trash pickup is marked from now until December 30th, first, whenever, the last pickup is, it's on there. We'll also put it to, we'd also put recycle weeks to, you can go there.
I just want to make sure half the neighborhood wasn't
No,
recycled
no.
this
Yeah.
week, the other half the next week, and it rotates.
At the end of the day, we want trash trucks in and out of here one time, one day a week. And that's where I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you and at least have you think about this. I get that we don't, paying for private business dumpsters is not, that's money we don't have. But it would not hurt in our contract to, since they have provided a price, for us to reach out to these entities that are involved and say, hey, this is the price we have for the current service that you've been receiving. Would you like them to contact you to set up your dumpster? The billing wouldn't go through us, it would go directly to Waste Pro. But it would, already be negotiated. That way, they would be in here, we're only talking one extra day up for commercial to empty the cans that they're emptying twice a week. And everything else would be on Thursday. So from aesthetic, safety, routine, it would remain the same. They don't have to use it.
You're talking about passing the fee on to
Yes.
commercial recipients?
Yes,
Is that right?
if it was
So the que- I
negotiated.
think the question then becomes, could they put you in a position to beat any relatively reasonable price that anybody else could come in and provide them with?
Is this price cheaper than they can go buy it for now?
Exactly.
If they would call me right now, that is not the price I would give them. It would be more expensive.
Now, I'm sure that there's Joe Schmo somewhere that drives a truck that's 90 years old and it probably leaks hydraulic fluid and he can probably do
Sir,
it cheap.
so I understand what you're saying about the price would be different if they called you right now, but would you be receptive to negotiating a term that would allow them to receive a price if they decided to pay your fee independently, that would be far more competitive than what they might face standing alone, so to speak? That's what we're talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the pricing structure that we put together with the town is a very discounted price because
So that's what
because
it
of
would,
that.
that's what it would be?
This is what we're agreeing to
Yeah.
honor, whether it's through the town or as,
Understood, I understand.
that first
That's
year,
okay.
we would accept that with them.
Understand.
But if you came on the same day that they collect the condominiums, then it's the same truck going over to do the boxes behind the retail center.
It'll be the same schedule.
And it wouldn't be another, it wouldn't be another.
Whether it's once
It's
a
different
week or
trucks
twice
for
a
the front end
week.
loader than it is for the
Right.
dumpsters. So it's separate, right?
That way you can incentivize them to use the same provider, so you've got the same dates on the same schedule.
No change in that.
So I would just suggest that as you're thinking about this, that we at least could put into the contract a negotiated price for commercial that maybe
That nonetheless is passed on.
that's passed on to them, but at least we're not just
Sticking them out.
sticking out there
Yeah,
in the cold.
I wanna hear about this pickup truck, hydraulic something or other. What was that about?
I have one last question for you too. Realistically, and I know you guys gave us exactly what we asked, so I appreciate that. But what it basically looks to me after what we had with our conversation of the bulk and removing the bulk is that basically the fee you have in there bulk kind of supplements the solid waste. You know, because you're there with it and all. So realistically, no matter how much data we come up with and what we do, cutting back or doing something different with bulk in the future is really not going to change our pricing much at all anyway, is
It's not gonna be a dollar for dollar,
it?
because it is, you know, the
It's all the
trucks.
same.
Correct,
Mhm.
but there would be perhaps some discounting that happens for enough data.
But we've already established that if we cut out, we're not getting that solid waste fee if we cut out
Correct.
that because of the way it's set up. Okay.
So, with that, any other, let me just ask this question, any other questions out there? So, looking at those 8 categories, does council want to, A, stay with same services that's in column 1, which is 368,000, or do you want to select another one? And like I said, my opinion is to select column number 6, which is reducing commercial, but letting these private commercial say, hey, this is the rate that's negotiated. You can stay in the same schedule. They'll bill you directly. The town's no longer paying for services. Or you're free to go on your own. That's up to them, whatever they want to do.
I have a question first.
Yes.
Recyclables. I read somewhere and all this stuff that recyclables, you're gonna do with the little hand carry bins, you gotta get a big one, or.
Everyone's gonna have a roll cart, yes.
So a lot of people now have just the little bin, and do they have to buy a big bin?
No, sir.
They will be provided with one.
So
We'll just
additionally.
need them identified.
And why we're asking this question, I have a couple of neighbors that have broken handles on their trash bins.
Mhm.
Do they have to pay for replacements or?
We'll take care of that, we just know
Oh,
where those
yeah,
are
okay.
located.
Now, let's go back.
Stop getting in those things with water.
I put some of my neighbor's trash out, so I know these things.
I
So,
asked them a question. I think it would be. Now, I'm assuming that, plastic bags that you get at the grocery store, you cannot put those in your bin.
And your recycling,
In your recycling,
correct.
which I take to the grocery store. My neighbor puts all their recycling in the plastic bag and puts them in.
That contaminated.
They might as well just be putting it in the trash
They
can.
might as well
Crazy, because I know it's all going.
so that, Claudia, is something to do for education of what's what, to reduce.
But they don't speak English very well, and they're renters.
Yeah.
And for yard waste, we're not gonna have plastic bags anymore, but we're going to paper
We're going to
bags.
paper, yes.
Broadcast that for
Yes.
people by plastic.
That's something else that we need to be on the market
Yes,
or flyer, whatever we do.
no more clear plastic bags, 100%.
But we can't get them all to clear anyway.
Yeah,
For clear for what?
Yard waste.
Jim is suggesting column 6. Is there any other thoughts on commercial pickup?
Well, I would rather for paper. That's-
I don't have any thoughts on commercial pickup. I know we said we didn't have to decide it right now, but I would be in favor of doing the bulk every week. And recycles we can do every other and try and see how that works out.
Yeah, this isn't.
I don't think that'd be a problem. The only
Yeah,
problem is
but
gonna be
that's
just
the
the confusion.
same price,
What we could
whether
easily
it's
do.
every week or every other week.
My only comment
So
is, if
just-
we're gonna go
we're
spend
just
a lot of money
saying,
for
we're gonna
magnets,
make that
on
change.
refrigerators, or education on that, then I'd say leave it like it is. We're gonna spend $20,000 on educating people and not do it.
No,
I don't know if it'll be that much, but yeah, I understand. The confusion is gonna be the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the amount of it, because you know, 3 kids in a bin, I've tried my darndest to fill that thing up and I still.
About mine, yeah, mine's the same way. They get
Yeah.
full.
So, yes, there's gonna be, some confusion, and yes, with the new phone system we have here today, those phone calls will be routed to me. So they won't be going into the clerk's office, well, they shouldn't be going into the clerk's office. Everyone does know Cherie's name. But it's out there that'll say, if you have a problem, call me. And I have received a couple calls already from it. New people who moved in for rental homes, I want to schedule trash pickup and stuff, and it's, you know, explain to them how it works, and they say thanks.
Melinda, you had your hand up.
I did. I just wanted to make sure that it's clear in the proposal that we did commit to providing one full mailer out to everyone and a postcard, whether it be the calendar or some other type of education. I mean, that is something that we ourselves will have delivered to each and every single resident. So in addition to, you know, working with you on social media opportunities and or you know, in conjunction with literature and education, either from Mecklenburg County's recycling facility, things that we're doing, as well as the state, you know, we're happy to brainstorm those concepts to get that communication out there. Thank you.
Well, I think the calendar too, that you have out there, street garbage pickup is always good. Always look at it when there's a holiday to see if it's on a different day or something like that. But a lot of people don't, but always look at that.
Thank you. I'm
So
glad
is it
somebody
safe to
did.
say that residents would have to call in for the blue larger bin?
No, we're gonna start identifying where those are located through the help with Jim
I have
and
one.
Sheree.
You don't have to do
And,
mine.
you know, we'll work through that of getting those exchanged out over the course of.
No, get the blue one, give the green one.
My neighbor
The small
does,
one.
and I know, the ones that, like, hundreds of these
So
bags.
they contact you if they need
All
a new
around
trash.
it.
No, I'm good with the same
Contact me, yeah.
I'm gonna post that.
And if they're gonna
All
put out
of
a mail,
them.
it's-
Yeah, and
Each.
to me, that keeps the garbage is recycled, or the neighbors recycling, blowing them, y'all.
Yes.
Get one less time. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
might as well give it a shot.
I mean, commercial's not that
All
expensive
the
either,
time.
but 7,000 a year. If it's to keep the same truck
Call you
in,
directly.
Yeah.
the same record,
Well, you're like-
instead of like Sheree says somebody leaking oil.
You just keep
I-
passing by.
Learning how to delegate.
I'll do it. 7,000, and what it works out to be now.
So,
$7,411.
I'll make questions.
Yes.
Not
Each
before I
month.
interrupted you, I'm sorry.
yeah, no problem. So,
Each month?
No, no, no.
Okay, I was gonna say, what?
all right,
I'm in the wrong business.
Just while y'all were talking, Steve and Joe were talking about the commercial, back to the commercial look. Steve said for $7,000, $8,000. To reduce the other trucks coming in and whatnot, and just keep it the same, he's thinking.
Yes, $7,411, the difference between commercial and non-commercial. So is it worth $7,411 to keep everything working the way it is with those same trucks in here on the same days versus having different trucks on different days? Because you can't control who they get in here to do it or what the
You can't.
dumpster might look like.
and they'll come in and they'll be gone quickly.
Yeah.
So,
Can I throw in one comment on that from a finance standpoint? There's, I don't know the exact wording, but in the finance book, any money that you spend should be spent for the benefit of all the citizens of the town. And I think really paying for, you know, a handful of private companies' garbage is probably not really in the spirit of that. So I think not paying for the commercial is probably
okay,
a good
so
thing.
just going down that road here for a second here. We have residents who, I guess I want to say it this way. What would the residents feel if they were paying for Miss Dee Dee's, the restaurants, the churches, waste removal? How would they be? I know it's only $4700.
They pay for the pool now and don't use it. So I mean, you can think the
They
same thing
pay
with that,
tax,
right?
don't they pay taxes on those entities, correct?
Those entities pay taxes, right?
Taxes on that.
Some of
Those
them
property
do, I
tax.
believe, and I'm not, I don't know.
Not
They
all
pay
of them
property
pay,
tax.
not all of them
Yeah.
pay taxes, the churches don't pay
Churches,
taxes. So, but you can't, the residents are paying for tax, for waste pickup inside their bill, and they're paying for everything. They're also paying for the commercial, whether they use the restaurants or whatever or not, they're paying for it. Is that fair to the residents? Is the question. I'm saying, my thought is to say, no, let's not pay for those commercials.
I think that
Business
applies to
stay.
anything we do then, Jim. So I'll bring that back up later. That is that fair to the residents that don't use that?
Not all the residents are gonna be using Miss Didi's. Is it fair?
Same
that
thing with
they pay-
anything else in the community.
But Miss Didi's isn't open to all the residents.
If you had a kid, it is. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying.
But
on the
they're
other side
paying
of
to
that,
have their kid be there,
I'm just saying,
so.
we need to consider that. It's not a lot of money to keep the same trucks in here, to keep the same daily people coming in on our streets. We know the company. Is it worthwhile or not? For $7,000. If it's not, it's not.
Well, don't take this the wrong way, Steve, but if Steve's ready to spend some money on something, I'm behind him, because he looks into the money, so.
That
I'm just
means,
saying.
that means the residents are paying $5.83 per year to take care of the commercial.
Yeah.
So I am going to. So let me ask this question. Is everyone in agreement of recycling every 2 weeks?
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay,
My opinion.
so. Question that comes down to, number 5 and 6 go together. The only difference between 5 and 6 is the commercial. So. Just for a, I guess I want to say for a show of hands here, I mean, who? We agreeing every other week, bulk is gonna be every week. With, we can go down the road of calling or not later, that doesn't need to be decided tonight. Is it okay if I have a show, in order to accept something here, a show of hands to where we're at for saying whether we want column 5 or column 6 when it comes to commercial? So can I have a raise of show of hands of who wants to pay for the commercial?
Can I, let me just throw one thing in before you do your show of hands. So earlier you mentioned that it was 51% increase if you did the commercial and 48% increase if you did
Yes.
not do commercial. So 51% increase is how much, how many pennies?
51 is going to be approximately. It's gonna be up like 3.3 cents. Approximately.
Jim.
You're wanting to know 341,873 divided by 38,727.
Yeah,
Is 8.82 cents,
8.82 cents, minus
minus 5.7
5.7,
is 3.12.
3.12. I was close, I said 3.3, 3.12 cent.
And then what is, Jeremy, what is 334,463?
334,463 divided by 38,727, which is 1 penny of tax, is 8.63, 8.64.
Just round.
I gotta round up.
The other one really
The
rounds
the
to
town
80.
center, in my mind, they should, with their, the landlord should be covering trash, in my opinion.
well, that's
And if they want to pass it on to their tenants, it's up to them, or it should be included in their rents, from what I understand they're paying.
well, it's just very, for you to give me a percentage doesn't help me, but if you tell me how many pennies, or that kind of keeps me in perspective. Okay, so we're gonna be a little over 3 cents if you keep commercial. You're 3.12 cents as opposed to
Basically 3 cents.
3 cents, basically. So that helps me.
And I'm good either way. I'm just saying, hey, it's 7,000, let's look at the number, $7,410. Is it worthwhile to have the same trucks come in from the same company. Because each one of these tenants, all three of these different tenants here could go and get different trucks to come in here every week.
Well, you could have more than that, because you could have, unless they're gonna share dumpsters in the town center,
There's gonna have to be.
you got however many units down there, they're gonna all need a dumpster. Now, surely they would cost share a dumpster, but
You
who
don't know,
knows,
right?
they might all need a.
No,
contract for-
that's not quite correct, Jeremy. The only one that would not share a dumpster down there is going to be the Mexican restaurant, because it is
Yeah.
privately held. Everyone else is, leases space in there.
So who's gonna get the dumpster, the landlord?
So, yes, I mean, the landlord, because it would be part of
Okay,
their,
so I'll just, for
Yeah.
instance,
right.
so the storefront of our business,
Uh-huh,
the landlord used to provide a dumpster. They don't anymore. So
okay,
now we buy a dumpster, the guy beside me buys a dumpster,
okay,
the guy down the road buys it, so we've now got 4 behind our place.
okay.
And they've ripped down the power pole 3 times this year since January, the trash trucks, different companies, because different companies service.
So each business up there could have a
So,
different dumpster.
each business, if the landlord says they're not gonna provide a dumpster, which is what's happened with Donna Rushing, we had to buy a dumpster. We rent a dumpster, and so does the eyelash company. Now, there are 2 others that we do cost share dumpster with, but we have 4 behind our building now.
How big of a dumpster is eyelash company?
Just one. So question also is gonna come down to space.
Yeah,
What do we have for space back there? Now, I
Yeah,
don't
there's
know
not
the
much
answer
of
to
it.
that question.
Not a lot.
And the Mexican restaurant does become a wild card in that whole thing too. It's a
Yes, it
whole nother
does.
Situation, they're not part of it.
Well, and to be honest, the county down there might not need a dumpster. They got a bag or 2 of trash. I mean, so, but I'm just saying, it
Yeah,
certainly
no,
could happen that somebody needs, there needs to be more than one that's there. If the landlord says, I'm not gonna provide it,
right.
then maybe there's none at all. Maybe nobody needs a dumpster. They carry their bags home with them. I don't know.
As a business owner that's owned a dumpster or that's paid for a dumpster for a long time, nothing's more irritating than when somebody else sticks a bag right in front of your dumpster. You know, that creates arguments real quick.
What were you gonna say, Ted?
Well, first, Joe, we need to talk, because I want to make sure I'm doing your dumpster as well. But, gentleman with front load, which is what picks up the dumpsters. Industry standards, they start somewhere between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? We don't come in here because I have your residential. So I won't let my guy come in here if he wants you to last. So between what, 9 and 10, he's getting ready to end his day and he comes here last. If you tell me I have to pay for mine, I'm gonna hire the cheapest person I can find. They're gonna be in here at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're gonna dump, and they're gonna be out. So take that in consideration as well.
From the noise level.
Yeah, just from the noise level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's social
everything-
condos.
Yeah.
Not to mention if they miss what goes in the hopper, they're not picking it up because it's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. They're
Oh,
gone.
they're gone. We take into consideration because we have your residential account, you know, I'm not gonna let them come in here that early in the morning.
Another thing to consider is though that you said that this is a substantial discount, so chances are
Oh, there's always. people
businesses
that'll
would
use-
use.
There's always people that'll do it for
Well,
next to
it's a
nothing.
free world, but yeah, free country.
But we did a significant
Right.
decrease.
So I would think you would get one.
Okay.
So
Jim was
I'll raise
calling
my
for-
hand
Jim was
for
calling
the
for a
commercial.
vote.
I'll call for a vote of hands, raise of hands for who will go for column number 5, which is paying for commercial. I see 1 arm. So I see 2, 3, 4. Okay. So question then comes down to. How do you vote? I'm gonna say no commercial. So for number 5, I am going to put out there to state, asking for a vote from council to officially select bid number, column number 5 for bid of $341,873 to start negotiations with the contracts with Waste Pro for column number 5. Recycling every other week, bulk every week, and with the commercial pickup stays the same. That was I put a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Jim's made a motion, Joe second. The motion is to continue service just like we have it today, with the exception of recycles every other week.
Yes.
And we'll revisit the bulk thing, call in.
At the next meeting.
Jim's made a motion, Joe second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you. Please let
Thanks
us
for
know if you
having
have
us.
any questions and
So
we
can I
appreciate the
ask a
opportunity
question?
to.
How do you guys intend to proceed with negotiating the contract? And you have to approval of the contract, or you want that done at the next?
Oh, do you have a
meeting,
card?
or you-
So,
There may be time, and you're an involved council, you read the documents. Want to make sure you're getting it to be able to read it.
We need to execute it by to start
July
July
1st,
1.
right? So we got a little bit of time, right?
so I would say that we'd like to have let me ask this question, Ken. Do I need to have authority by the council to negotiate the contract, not sign it?
No, not to negotiate the terms,
Okay.
but to approve the contract.
Approve the
Or whole
contract.
Council's approval, yes.
Yeah, but I want to have that in
I
the.
mean, they could grant you that, Mr. Record, if they want to, they could grant you the authority to
No,
approve that. I
No.
don't want that. I mean, in the larger municipalities, that's what happens. I mean, it's the staff that's doing it, it's not the elected officials, but this is different.
I am going to try to have the contract fully negotiated by the May meeting. That's my goal.
There's a finger going up right there.
We can help you with that because we did supply the sample
Right,
contract.
we're
in
gonna
the-
sign the sample contract and go
So I
forward.
guess the way I'm gonna look at it is, you folks, when I say you folks, I mean Waste Pro and Mr. Record and Ms. Clark
Yeah.
are gonna get together and propose a contractual term that I'm gonna get to look at and
Yes.
review and provide input into.
Yes.
Yes,
And then provide it to the council for further potential discussion about any given term, or is that how we're doing it? Okay, I just wanna make sure I'm on board with what we're.
is that possible to get that?
Yeah, like, you
Are
know.
we looking to have contract ready to sign by the May meeting? Is that what you're?
I am gonna try to have it here ready for approval for the contract, and then we have to give authority to the mayor to sign it.
He's got 2 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We still have another
Do you
month
think
after
it'll-
that, if we need to.
right. I still have
June, so
another
you have
month.
July, so.
Yes,
Do you think it'll take that long?
I'm hoping not, but I wanna give them extra time. That's
Okay.
60 days.
All right.
I'm hoping we get it done a lot sooner.
Yeah, we'll
I
get
am
it,
too,
get it,
'cause I'm going to
Ken, he got
Tahiti.
some.
I mean, the private contract is.
We're all going to Tahiti?
These
No,
folks
I-
will acknowledge that's involved.
Yeah.
It's not a 2-page
No,
No,
it is.
pond
no.
maintenance, no disrespect to the ponds. It's as involved in the contract.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time. They may have different terms now. I'm not sure. I haven't compared anything. I just don't know.
Yeah.
And as you know, and the other council members don't know, I sent you something today that we might utilize some of the
Yes,
potential terms contained within that, so I'm. Yeah, Josh,
you got it, yeah. Yeah, so they're gonna send me an electronic version of the contract, because I have it in paper, and then we'll go from red line from there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thanks for
you.
being
Coming
here.
out.
We look
Appreciate it.
forward to your
Trash.
partnership.
Okay,
You.
thank you.
Text or email is always the fastest way to catch me.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got 4
Take care. Stay safe.
Get it done before the prices go up.
You don't get one, Jeremy. You don't get 5.
It's
I already
trash.
have one.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, one for
it
Jeremy.
doesn't matter.
Jim, thank you, Sheree, thank you for the legwork that both of y'all done. I know that I've asked a ton of questions and we've been back and forth and it's
Just to let it do the bystander, who ranked the capital? I mean, right? That was a $600,000.
Yeah.
difference.
Hey, kudos for him for hanging in there. I would have just walked out after that.
Yeah.
See ya.
all right.
And these poor guys look here, like, we should have went higher, we should have went higher.
Public services, B, streets and sidewalks, Bruce.
All right, Founder's Park is still a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Oh, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
you're good.
I was looking down.
You're good.
Moving back up. Mimosa and Alden's been taken care of. The original problem is well taken care of. What you're seeing there is an area that was not redone because at the time, there was no water laying there. Now that the rest of those panels all the way out to the corner have been leveled out, well, now you got a low point that's kind of sitting there all on its own. It's not joining in with the older panels, but at this point, it's not really something that the homeowner's concerned about. They weren't concerned about it from the onset, and 2.5 years ago, David and I looked at this and the homeowners weren't even concerned about it. And we said, well, let's see how it is, and it's grown to where we had it replaced, so. At this point, I would just recommend, let's just let this stand the way it is right now. It dries up pretty quick, even after a heavy rain, usually within 36 hours, it's down to not even a sizable puddle for a goldfish. So I'm not too worried about that one. Founder's Park. This one was very frustrating. Thanks to a resident bringing it to my attention and Jeremy's attention, we replaced, I think it was a total of 8 panels on the, I guess that would be the southeast side, and almost mirrored 8 panels on the northwest side. It was like you almost directly across. Leveled them all out, made them beautiful, looked great. It rained. I walked over there after it rained. I said, you gotta be kidding me. The water moved. It moved from what was now nice and level to a low point on the southeast side. It moved to the left towards the gazebo. On the northwest side, it moved to the right, about another 8 or 9 panels. So we've been talking with Kevin at Anchor, not necessarily to replace more concrete, because this would might be moving 8 and then another 8, and then it might just about rip the whole dang thing up and start all over. What about possibly grading so the water will move out to the road or back into the field as opposed to laying on the sidewalk? But kind of thinking that we'll just kind of hold off right now, see what happens in the next heavy rain, see how fast it dissipates. Because with this past rain we had, it dissipated pretty darn quick, but we also had some high winds, so did the wind help that dissipate? We don't know. So at this point, I would just say, let's hold off right now. I mean, if it comes to the point where we say we gotta spend the dollars, Jeremy and I talk, because he's got money in Park and Rec, and we'll take some from Joe Electrical too.
Comes to Park and Rec as well.
I got a lot to spend here soon.
So, but we're gonna see just how long that stands, because the original panels that we replaced, it stood for like easy 4 days, if not longer.
What, Bruce, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, what we wanna do is approve up to $6,200
If needed.
if needed. We'll
Right.
watch it the next rain or two.
Right.
But the reason being, if we are gonna do the grading over there, we need to do it in the next couple of weeks,
Mhm.
seed and straw it, to have any hope of germination of seed.
Correct.
For the,
And we have a similar problem with Matheson Square, a couple sections of the sidewalk that you can tell the mud's completely over the one section.
Yeah, it's within the whole village. I can
Oh, yeah.
cite about 9 different areas that I know just sitting here, but it's like, where do you go? Whoa, let's just slow down and see how long it takes to drain. Like I said, in the case of Alden and Mimosa, the resident on the corner there never even contacted, back when David was mayor, or even myself, in my last term, or we just kept an eye on it, because it's on a corner, and that's where kids walk and everything else, and, you don't want a kid stepping out in the street and becoming a bumper guard. So that just seemed to get worse as opposed to better, but we would want, if we get ahead with this, we would want to do it, as Jeremy and I had talked about, sooner than later. But after, well, you got the kite festival coming up, I think, is this weekend?
Yes.
And then after that, there's nothing really.
we got rain coming allegedly Friday, so that gives us, we get a rain Friday, Saturday, and then we watch it every day at the same time. And if the water's gone in 48 hours, we wouldn't want to spend this money. If the water is standing over there 3, 4, 5 days like it was, then the grading needs to occur. Kevin did say that they would guarantee their grading. The panels replaced were sunk, so those needed to be replaced
They were.
anyway. But he's put a guarantee on the grading. They went over there for transit to see how much flow you get or how much fall you get. that they can grade it down, but essentially it will be from the sidewalk out to the road, grading, grading that down. It's more work than it sounds like, if you just go there and look at what you got. So,
Yeah, but if, as we talked about, if it kind of washes, dries up in the 48 hours,
yeah,
not gonna bother.
right.
Don't spend the money, but if it's gonna hang around 4 days or more, then we gotta just go ahead and do what we gotta do.
Did you say you did have money budgeted?
Yeah, it'll be park maintenance, come out of park maintenance.
So I guess that's the recommendation. I'd like to put a motion that if needed, to spend $6,200 to take care of the southwest side and the northeast side of Founder's Park where the sidewalks are holding water again.
Okay, you've now flipped that 3 times. Is it northwest and
It is.
southeast, or is it southwest and northeast?
Both sides.
Both sides. Just say north, just say both sides of Fountain Park. Just say, if you can put it in minutes, go, say this way and that way. I know you can't.
Bruce has made a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Joe, second, any further discussion on this one? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Bruce. Joe, lighting and electric.
Well, let's see, we're gonna start off with, first of all, thank you, Jeremy and Sheree. You guys went and met with, Union Power today. I could not make it. I appreciate you going out there today without me being able to do it. We've had a lot of lights repaired here lately. We've turned in between the ones that, that everybody sent me, the ones I found, ones Jeremy sent me. Been over 50 lights in the last 2 months, and they've done a really good job on fixing it. We still have a couple of them that we're still having a few problems with that are caused by underground wiring that they're working on in different areas. Still have a little problem on all of them, but besides that, majority of them have been taken care of. We do have that for quite some time, we've been having an issue with a light on Faith Church Road, right there by Craft Circle. And I'm kind of moving around on yours, but we'll, we talked about this probably over a year ago, to be honest with you. And at first, we were looking at getting it fixed. Then Union Power came out and said, well, what we want to do is put down one of our new poles. Because our old poles were mounted on a concrete slab that basically had anchors in the slab, and that was holding up the poles. And according to them, they believe that we, as the developer, actually, Matheson, did that, and they came back and put the lights in. Nobody really knows 100% for sure. Sheree disagrees with that, but
I tried, guys.
we can't prove one way, they can't prove another, so we're just stuck with it. The new lights they use are similar but different. I mean, at the top of it looks very similar, same acorn style light. It's a smooth fiberglass pole that goes straight down and goes straight into the ground itself. It does not mount on a pad, which in the long run will be good for us with replacing some of these poles with these because it's better on the maintenance. These get to a certain point where the anchors start coming loose and there's just nothing they can do. They shim them to pull it up and tighten it down, but there's one of them that they shim to pull up and tighten. In a matter of a few weeks, the wind got it and caused the same problem again. So with that being said, we're talking, we've been back and forth some talking today on different solutions for this problem. And I got to step back some. There was some confusion I probably caused because I did not recall properly a conversation that you and I had. I was thinking that you were telling me that Anchor had a solution. I went back through my emails today and went back, and it was not Anchor, it was Fast Signs.
Right.
Has what they say is a solution. I originally thought that we were going to, or planned on coming in here today to ask to purchase 2 lights to replace the one that is already fallen and one of the 3 on the other side of the road, which we would determine was the worst because there are 3 of them over there that move around a lot. However, since I recall our proper conversation, what I would or am planning on doing right now is just replacing the one that is missing, that has been missing, with a new light. And then I'm going to talk with the people you have from Fast Signs and see if their solution will work with it. Because if it does, we have a lot of them. If it doesn't, we got to start planning on fixing multiple of them per year to try to get it caught up. Because there's, I mean, go around that whole area around the church and Faith Church and Creft. I mean, Jeremy was telling me about what they saw on my way home today. I rode by and he said, yeah, they see the crooked line. I'm like, which one?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all bad around in that area and, you know, so we're gonna try to do something with it. As you see in there, the lights, it's $2,510 a light. They're giving us $100 credit for, I guess, the type of light that it is compared to the old style of lights. And the footer, we're figuring in to remove the footer that is there right now, about $500. Union Power was like $1,500 to remove the footer. Jeremy talked with them at Lucas, and they think they can break it up enough to bring it down 5-6 inches, then fill it with dirt and just plant on top of it and be done with it. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to spend $3,100 to put a new light post up at the corner of Faith Church and Crest Circle to replace the pole that fell back about a year ago.
Joe's made a motion, Bruce second, any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
Joe, there is one on the other side of the park every year, the last thing on the top's all leaned over,
Okay, can you text me about where it's at or?
just across the park there,
Okay, I'll find it.
I will. I'll send
whatever
it.
that road.
Closer to your guys, the front of your house or?
No, it's on Meeting,
Oh, meeting, okay,
right down from the circle where the Christmas tree's at, on that side,
okay.
it's right there.
I'll get that taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Item 7, finance officer report. Sure.
Okay, okay, you have the February report. And, we're looking at 100% of budgeted tax collected, which is great. We will be getting, the next quarterly state shared revenues in March, so that'll be coming up soon. As far as expenditures, I don't think we have any big problem areas. We just slightly over in food provisions for events. Like $36. We can address that. So I don't have any other things with the February reports.
Any questions, Cheryl, from February reports?
No.
All right,
Okay.
number B,
Then under B, and I don't seem to have a copy of it. Did y'all get a copy of the grant project ordinance?
This is just this is what they changed.
No, this is the lead.
Okay. What are you, I didn't print them.
it was in the packet.
It was in the packets and I didn't print them. You need one to print it?
Well, basically what I was doing was, I was, using the ARP funds to reimburse the town for the administrative assistant. And I don't have the time period exactly in front of me.
It's a July 1 of 2022 to February 8, 2024.
Right. So we're just increasing that. We have until the end of 2024 to encumber all the funds. And when I find out from the sheriff's office what they're gonna charge us for the deputies next year, I think that'll take up all the rest of it. And so we will go ahead and do another budget amendment for that. And then we will have encumbered all of our ARP funds. And it'll just, there'll be a little bit of a time lag until we finally actually pay it all out. But that, I was trying to do this in February because in April I have to report to them, to the feds, for things through March. So that's why I was putting this on this. So this will show that we have a plan to use some more money.
There was a little bit of a time gap, if you went back and looked at that document that came out, and I asked Cheryl about it from maybe May to July of 2022, I don't remember, and I asked why we weren't catching those, but it was because.
It was the time period between Angie and Sarah.
Sarah, yeah, so.
When I was reading through this stuff earlier, I could have, correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably am. You'd had the salaries paid up through, taken out of there, up through a week ago, like February 28th, correct?
Right, through
And
February.
then you had the police officers paid up through March 31st
Right.
of this
mhm,
year.
Right, because we do them quarterly.
Right, and there was like, you had like 930,000 was expensed at that point. Is that a correct figure?
No, the total grant that we got was 931,811. So this will bring us to 705. So
Oh, okay, I was
there'll be
reading, okay.
226. So
Which the sheriffs will eat up.
unless they cut the price of sheriffs, which I would be shocked at, yeah, we
Right.
should be done then.
Okay.
June or July.
So we need to adopt, is that a resolution or is that?
It's just an amended ordinance.
Yeah. Is there a motion to amend the ordinance, the 2021 coronavirus grant ordinance to match the numbers the chair was presenting?
Make that motion.
Steve's made a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Jim is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, some tax refunds and a different refund.
Okay, so the tax refunds are for 4/15/25 on parcel 7064393. $60.45, which was actually somebody paid their HOA dues accidentally to us. And $750.39 on parcel 7063347 to CoreLogic.
Is there a motion to approve those refunds?
Make a motion.
Jim's made a motion,
A second.
Bruce is seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. Stormwater update, anything on Connie's Pond?
It was surveyed last Friday. I'm a little concerned because I don't see a stake over there on Mr. Troll's property or on that side, but they've got a couple that I've seen, but it's so wet right now, I can't get back there. But hopefully we'll see some drawings here in the next couple of weeks. So
Item B under stormwater, sure. Catalog and inspection of the storm drain.
Oh. In trying to avoid the situation we got into over on Mimosa.
Or Cruft.
Cruft, pick one. We met with Anchor and they're going to, apparently you can feel little dips in the road and they pull the grate and look down in the box and they can see if the road is collapsed, what's going on. So Anchor is in the process of doing that. And that's, Stormwater has approved $1,000 at this point for them to evaluate that, but it will be money well spent if they, if we come up with 10 of them, then which ones, we got to determine which ones are the worst, which ones we need to budget for next year, as opposed to having a surprise.
Even it's the easiest example right now, because I learned a lot talking with Kevin on this. When we had the issue at the back of Founder's Park where the kids' playground is. And the ground was literally pulling away, going down in the park. It was going down into the storm drain because it was leaching. So he took care of that. But he also said the easiest way to see if you've got an issue starting up, when you drive over the road slow, you don't boom, people don't drive too slow, but if you drive slow, it's almost like a ribbon effect. Because the road is starting to settle.
Yeah.
So we still may have a further issue over here on the back of Founder's Park, because got a storm drain by the kids' park and then one directly across. And the other thing to look at is the manhole that's usually in the middle of the road. That manhole's not level with the road anymore. Well, they don't grow.
Yeah.
So that means the road is settling, and I want to try to start to catch these before it comes to an issue like we had at Creft, where the whole thing had collapsed on the ground.
So you know that place? that
Oh,
you-
Conifer.
Uh-huh.
I keep mentioning it. Be an issue.
Mhm.
There's gonna be more than one issue.
It's almost a mountain you have to climb over now.
The infrastructure, any way you look at it,
Yeah.
is old.
But it's good to get, my question along that whole thing was how much do they estimate it to take? But you said $1,000.
Well, no, that's,
That was the
Was
machine.
expensive.
that's what we've started with.
Right,
We
right.
may be more than that at this point. But
Again,
to begin, we're gonna talk about it.
he's got the people that can inspect these storm drains
pull the drain covers.
Pull the
and all.
drain covers, take a look and see if we have, because most of these in here, well, not all, most, all are not solid concrete boxes, they're bricks.
Yeah.
And mortar in the brick, and what happens to mortar over time? Washes out. So now, like the ones he replaced, and if he has to replace them, like the two we replaced on prep, those are solid concrete. They're as good as mausoleums, I mean, nothing's going through them, because they're at least, I think, 5.5 to 6 inches thick all the way around. So we'll have to see, it's not gonna get better, it's only gonna become an issue as we go along.
Do you want to approve any more money for that right now, or you just want to wait till you hear back? from-
I was kind of gonna wait, I mean, we could have,
I'm fine either way.
okay.
Any other questions on it? It's a good program that we just gotta get it figured out and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Parks and Rec, just a few pieces of information. We did have a fish kill back in mid-February. That's whenever the temperatures had gotten, they were significant temperature changes the day before this happened. Foster Lake and Pond's been out to both fish kills. Most of the fish that died were the little forage fish, the gizzard shad. We've not had any other issues. There's been no blue-green algae or any of that going on. But since February, nothing else has happened, but just in case you heard or saw anything, we'll let you know. Next blood drive, Mark, is the 19th. Anything on that?
Yep.
Be there if you can.
Same old stuff.
Memorial Day tributes planned on Memorial Day at 11 a.m., May 27th. Still looking for a guest speaker. Love to find somebody in the village that's been in the service. If you know of anybody, please let me know. We'll be glad to reach out to them. And our next meeting is March 25th. We'll be talking about the budget, mulch, spring cleaning, and the exterior painting of this building. About February 20th overview from planning board.
Sure, we had the planning board meeting. I made sure to thank them for all the hard work they had done for us. Very appreciative of that. I love the council and staff and mayor, very appreciative of that. And then they selected their chairperson that meeting. That was Harrison Walser.
Okay.
And that was really the end of the meeting. So.
All right, thank you. Joe, ordinance review?
All right, we did meet this past month and we came up with a plan for us to do the work that we've been asked by council to do to redefine issues in the parking ordinance and to change the skateboard, motorized scooter ordinance. It goes on and on, roller skate and everything. In addition to adding self-propelled motorcycles basically on sidewalks. I've put this out to the members where we've separated it out. Steve has worked on the skateboard motorcycle ordinance, let's call that right there, and got me a good definition of that. I have not sent everything out yet because one of the people, John Corzine, was very thorough on his and sent me several pages that I basically have to go through and summarize to put with everything. As normal, John did a good job on it, but it's a lot, so
Yeah.
I've got to get a lot together for that to do that. Jim and I were working on the social district ordinance. However, Jim's time's been a little bit busy with trash and other things, so we haven't gotten too far on that. But we will have some more information for that at our next meeting before we have our following meeting, which is the agenda. I don't have anything set for April meeting yet.
No.
So. All right, that's all I got.
Thank you. Technology, Joe?
Virtual assistant, we are going to change the menu here soon. Sarah and Sheree are going to some different things together for me for the menu. I'm going to put the pool information on it. I am going to have trash for Jim. Jim's got to let me know if he wants to go to a voicemail or straight to his cell phone. I'm assuming a voicemail would probably be a better way of doing that. But we will set up a separate one for trash. We'll have the pool hours on it. Anybody else comes up with anything else, please let me know. We're still having some issues with Ring Central. I sent a nastier email. We still have problems with getting our phone lines right. The big problem with that is, and this is what I just put in a little email to them, is Sheree's calling somebody, says, hey, just for example, not saying it's Tim's, but just, hey, your taxes are past due. Well, they just looked at their caller ID and their caller ID said that she's calling them from Massachusetts. What would any of you do if somebody called you from Massachusetts telling you your taxes were due?
Yeah,
Give
right.
it to Jim.
Yeah, right. It's a problem. We think we finally found out what the problem is. And basically it boils down to Spectrum Enterprise and Spectrum Small Business are two different companies that don't particularly seem to like each other. And Spectrum Small Business had our phone numbers. They said that they canceled it. And before we've actually had them ported over, they canceled it when I filled out the first port apparently, but they never went through with everything. And nobody really knows where our numbers are. We still have access to them because I had them forwarded, but nobody really knows where they were, where the numbers are. And my nasty email was to 3 different people. One person didn't respond at all. One person is retired from an autoresponder, told me that. And one person is on vacation. The one person that probably is the doer, but doesn't do.
So you're next.
Right. So, yes, we might need an attorney's, my bark is not very hard on them, so maybe yours will go a little bit more, but we'll see before we get to that. But I'm waiting for Althea, the girl, to get back from vacation next week. It's gone this far. And this has literally gone on since October. So we're going on 6 months of this. And it's really gotten ridiculous. And it's been multiple emails from myself, Cherie, and everybody. And as soon as we send an email out to them of, hey, this, we get a response back of what they're going to do or who they're trying to talk to other people, but that's where it ends. There's no more. One thing on, or that's the end of the Ring Central. One other thing on technology. You see, we're trying we got a cord right there coming down through there. Will be, that will be buried next time. It'll be through the wall next time. I tried to hook that TV up wirelessly for our monitor. It just didn't work well. So we're just going to go wired on that. And one last thing, thank you to John Corzine for our nice little power. He donated that for us on his own, came up with that idea. So we got power and cords all a little bit neater and in control there. So thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Special project update, Cherie, anything from the landings or ribbons?
Landings are just in, hold at the moment. I'm still waiting on the reports from Raleigh on that. Ripple, I've not heard anything else since I had sent them an email saying, have you gotten final approval on crossing 74, and I've not heard about it. I know I'm sure you've all have noticed the box that's out here on Faith Church Road by the pond. That's their command center for Lake Park. So I'm hoping they'll put some bushes or something to make it look a little better, but who knows?
Yeah. Item C, the North Carolina League of Municipalities, the possible grant funding opportunity that we talked about last month. Sure. Ken has put in a lot of time of reading this thing and trying to figure it out. And his concern on our behalf is to make sure we don't agree to something that we just are, it's gonna cost us money whether we use it or not. There are a few things, but that's one of them.
That's pretty much it, yeah, that, how the ordinance didn't seem to have any type of application to what we would need or want. Grant writing for.
Right.
So they've responded. They've tried to jump through dealing with me, I guess. They changed the agreement language a little bit to remove the accounting and cyber software and that kind of thing. And I think that the language now does appear to be such that the cost is incurred in an amount of $10,000 for the League of Municipalities, and that any additional costs appear to only be attributable to you if you agree to incur those costs versus the unilaterally agreeing to that. Cherie's been communicating with them as well. I mean, what I had hoped for, I mean, it's not in my wheelhouse really. And so I've tried to be thorough in reviewing it to gain my best understanding of it. And I feel reasonably confident that you're safe without incurring anything additional. What I wished we had gotten, which hasn't happened, is just even, it was something I would be able to rely on for in the future. It was like an email from that gentleman that said, oh, no, there aren't any upfront costs or costs that you incur unless this, or this. There's some sort of email that might provide that. He's not done that, which still makes me wonder if I'm missing something. I don't think I am, but you never know.
I asked Sheree to break it down to me in layman's terms last week and give me some examples, and so correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Essentially, what we would be signing on for is the grant writing.
Mhm.
So we could look for grant opportunities, or they might even look for grant opportunities. Let's just say it's a park grant. I'm just pulling that out of the air. Well, there's a park grant that will get you $50,000, whether it's matching or not, that's, you figure that out, you see a grant and you say, you know what, we'd like to go after that grant. And the league says, well, here's the first $10,000 and we'll pay that to Billy Bob's grant writing service to write that grant on behalf of the village to try to get that grant. So we wouldn't commit as a council, you were not committing anything unless you commit to that grant, which could be matching.
Right, but it would have to be voted on.
All of that would be individual votes or individual decisions on where it goes. And then you go to the next step for the second $10,000, which would be a deeper dove into the grants or
How
further.
does that work? How does that?
It says here that,
It's tiered, there's
Yeah.
three tiers.
so the second phase 2 is preparation and submittal of grant applications. So basically your phase 1 is planning.
Yeah, phase one is the identification.
Looking for the grant.
Looking for it, exactly. 2 is writing, the preparation of writing, so writing and
No,
writing
you're
apologies. 3 is is basically the finalization of it, to finalize the grant, but the purposes of use by the village. But there's a budgetary process that is engaged in as well to give you some idea of what your cost would be if you want to go forward with it.
And I think to Ken's point last month, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is maybe the grant writer, the cost for the grant writer might be $25,000.
Right.
But we would know that up front that we're gonna pay this guy 25,000, but the league's only gonna pay him 10 in phase one.
Right.
So we would maybe say, well, we're not gonna go down that
Right.
road. We would have those choices at each step. Not as anybody can appear, we're not committing to anything from our perspective. As we couldn't, and this board votes to commit any kind of money for something, so. Sheree's recommendation is that we go down, we agree to it simply because we could be leaving some dollars on the table. It may be nothing there may be no identification of available grants.
There's no cost if we don't use it, right?
Right, there's no cost to us if we don't use it, but let's say we meet and consult with, and the consulting firm on this is, Whit O'Brien.
Yeah, because they're already identified, consultants
Yeah.
already identified.
Yeah, so if Whit O'Brien meets with, let's say, me, and we're working on a stormwater thing, so meets with Bruce and I, and then we also want to look at park or, infrastructure, so roads, those are the things that we're most interested in. And we say, okay, so we want to look at that. What kind of grants do you think are out there? And basically just talk about, the plan of identify funding sources and, are there eligibility timelines and, our
I just want you to be
ability.
very conscientious about that discussion, being very clear with them. We don't intend to exceed the $10,000 that the league of
Well, we're not
municipalities is
even
gonna
going
pay.
there.
But in phase 1, you're still gonna have to talk to them,
Oh, yeah,
consult about the identification
Right.
process, and that's one of these $10,000 tiers.
right, but you would say to them, so, a budget has to be prepared.
Right.
So let's say we meet with them and we decide, you know what? This is not for us. But our time with Whit O'Brien was $1,000. The League of Municipalities is gonna pay that $1,000 and that will be, we're done, and we walk out the door. And we went from they're not going to provide us with a detailed or anything targeted to Lake Park to, we got this afternoon when I sent you guys this and said, hey, this is hot off the press. And I only printed the exhibit A on it because it's like 17 pages, 2 different documents, and I didn't think, but I'll be glad to print them and put them in your box.
It's a more
if you want.
generalized, it would have, it satisfies my, why doesn't this say anything that would be applicable to the village?
Right. Yeah, so I think nothing maybe we have a chance to find some money and maybe we don't.
And we probably should point out to you though, if you were to find something and you went through all these stages, and then the grant was going to be issued, there was an agreement that the grant was going to be issued, and then you decided not to accept it. They don't like that
They don't
very
like
much.
it.
They're not real high on that. They make it clear that they prefer you not do that. It might affect the working relationship in the future, perhaps, for that's the implication.
Right. But if we get down the road where we.
You're gonna be so far down the
If
road.
you've committed to the, yeah.
For the
Yeah.
most part, it would
Yeah.
appear that would be the case, yes.
The only other thing that's in here is that interesting is that all of this money has to be spent. It has to be committed by
It's like 27, right? Is that right?
December of the league can only support cost and pay for services rendered before December 31st of 2026.
27.
That's because it's ARP.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, they're using ARP.
Yes, they got a
Yeah.
big chunk of ARP money. And that's why, but it has to be, so I just wanted, that's the only other.
So they gave a form resolution for you that they drafted, the
Yeah.
resolution they drafted, that you have to pass.
And you're comfortable with the wording now as you want.
I'm more comfortable than I was, yes.
Or we
And
can
you,
just say
and you
no.
think it's a good thing too.
I don't see how we can lose at this point, but I'm also not the attorney. My job is to present ideas and possible ways of us finding some money. And let's face it, as we all know, we have a limited tax base and we have an aging infrastructure.
I've done my best to ensure you're not gonna incur costs until you know you're going to.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Is
But
the
from what I
resol-
remember from the beginning
resolution-
start, you were really worried about the fact that it was not very,
Because
It's a huge step that they even amended the documents to.
Right, I don't think they
What
really
had
wanted
said,
to, I mean, because, and another thing that puts me on the opposite side of this is, the last meeting, you said, well, should we reach out, see if people come and talk to me? Boy, they ain't interested in doing that, they poo-pooed that, we don't really want to do
They're thinking, hey, we're
that.
giving you
We'll talk
something.
to you virtually, I think they threw
Yes,
that
they
out
are.
as a possibility. They weren't gonna fly down here to talk to you about it.
well, I'll go ahead and make the motion if you guys are comfortable with it. I'll make the motion to approve the North Carolina League of Municipalities grant funding opportunity.
Resolution and.
Resolution and memorandum of agreement.
Yeah, that. The resolution and memorandum of agreement.
Jody made a motion.
I'll second.
Steve, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Jeremy, we'll be getting emails that, we have to do it electronically and then get a copy and everything. And the way they do those documents, you'll have to sign.
Do you have a DocuSign or something?
Yeah,
All right, next item D is discussion and action deemed appropriate on the Union County interlocal agreement to collect taxes. I sent out pretty detailed information. Basically, everything I sent out is on the next 2 slides. Just some various facts. 9 of the 14 Union County municipalities utilize this interlocal agreement, and they range in size from Mineral Springs to as big as Stallings and Waxhaw. Current staff time was a question that I asked Cherie, and she estimates 3 to 5% of her time is spent on tax collection. Sarah is 20 or 25% of her time annually on tax collection. Sarah posts the information, the tax scroll, handles the stuff coming in. Cherie's out knocking on the doors for the 10 people that don't pay or whatever. So one of the things, if we go this route, will be some reappropriation of staff time. Cost to do this is 1.25% of the revenue that's collected, which if my math is right, would be approximately $9,000, between $9,000 and $10,000. We're currently budgeting, this has changed from the slideshow that I sent out, Cheryl called it. We were currently budgeting $2,500 for tax collection because it says tax collection $2,500. And then the next line says property tax $450. but it didn't say tax collection, so I assumed 2,500 we budgeted is to collect taxes. That is the fee that we pay the state, and I would lean on you two ladies to describe that. That's a fee that we pay for the state collecting motor vehicle taxes, is that right?
That's correct.
So that $2,500 would remain still budgeted. County gives us that money, but they're just a pass-through, as I understand it, is that correct?
They don't give us that amount because that amount has already been subtracted.
No, they give us the tax money.
Right.
They're the
They give us the
pass-through
net.
of that.
Yeah, I get an entry every month.
Yeah.
With the net.
And that $2,500 has come out of
Right.
that.
Mhm.
We do budget $450 for tax collection, which is to print bills, stamps, and things of that nature, is that?
You would say that.
So that money would come out.
Now, that's just the first mail.
That's the number that's in the budget.
Right,
$450.
but what I'm saying is, that's from, the mail house and the bills that we send, because we do not send, escrowed accounts a tax bill. Those go directly, we send an electronic spreadsheet to the mortgage companies.
From a customer service aspect, and this came out of off the next slide, really, that Van Harold said, the customer service aspect, the positive side is that all the location for tax problems is gone to the county. So the county handles any complaints, any issues, any reductions, overpayments, any of that stuff that happens in the county. handles it.
When it says staff time, Sheree 3 to 5% and Sarah 20 to 25% in dollars, what does that about equate to?
I'd have to look at the budget to tell you that. I mean, I could get that for you, but I
don't see it being that far off of 9,000, just taking a stab at
It's
it.
not, I'm sitting here doing it in my mind, it's not that far off of it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
What should be.
I assume she's 20-some, so
Pretty
that's
close.
at least 5,000.
Maybe 20.
I know where you're at, so it really comes up to about 9,000 bucks.
Another positive side of this is, I put this in my email, Sheree's not gonna work forever, she's not giving any notice of retirement, but she's not gonna work forever. And as whatever board is in charge of replacing her, if tax collection can go somewhere else, that's one less prerequisite we've gotta worry about, or that board's gotta worry about in hiring the next person. Are you gonna hire somebody that wears all the hats? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but this would be one hat that's off and gone to a central location. And it would be gone to a central location that's kind of it's proven itself with the other municipalities using.
And Mayor, I'm gonna actually butt in and echo your sentiments, and the reason I am is because Sheree's done, as we all know, we're always saluting the parade every year. You're in a position to make that transfer very seamless and very easy. And we sit here and talk about the collection rates being so high, but if you don't have her and you end up going down to you're missing 5%, you're talking about lots of money that's gonna be really significantly impacting you from a budgetary standpoint because of how tight you gotta run the ship. It makes a lot of sense.
Right. And
you see, on a negative side, if, let's say you retire and all of a sudden we're using you and Sarah to do just like now, and all of a sudden you say, I want to retire. Then I see, the only negative I see is the timing of the year that she retires as far as getting it rolling with.
which was in my email of one of my reasons that I think it's to do it prior to Sheree retiring is twofold. If we make this transition and we absolutely hate it for whatever reason, the county doesn't send us the money on the month that they say they're going to, or our residents say, you know what, we deal with the people at the county and they're not as nice as Sheree and Sarah, and this is terrible, and we want y'all to take tax collection back. We would have Sheree still on board to bring this thing back in and step right back in collecting taxes, just like it never happened.
Plan B.
Plan B.
And the agreement with the county allows for that.
It does allow for that. I don't suspect that to happen, but if it were to happen, to me, it is a smart move if we're ever gonna consider moving taxes to there, that we do this while Sheree is still on board. to make it seamless going in, but you also have a plan B to make it seamless coming back out, should it need to.
Makes sense.
The other points that, this came straight from Van Harold's email, that the collection fee is 1.25%. The interlocal, it has to be approved by both boards. They preferred by the end of March, which is why we're talking about it now. He did say they had some wiggle room, but the end of April was their drop dead date to make it happen this year. Funds are remitted monthly, except for November through January, and those months, they do mid-month remittance. You can see the reasons that was done. Under the agreement, the county has all authority granted under the Machinery Act, which really doesn't matter to us per se. That's
Yeah.
correct. The tax rate, I found this interesting, for the county's tax rate is 99.4 to 99.83 over the past 10 years. In the past 2 years, they've been at 99.8 or higher, so they're gonna collect about the same amount of taxes that Sheree is collecting now. He does say that they get the municipalities a little bit higher because it's a smaller subset of taxes. And the county, they will not go after any back taxes, so she would have to still get the last $12 that are still owed.
And she will.
That county.
They don't go after back taxes that are that need to be collected at this point in time?
Yes.
Or because they'll go after them from that.
Yeah,
point forward,
anything,
right?
yeah, from that point forward.
Right.
I had a question for Sheree of what their tax bill looks like, so you've got that in here tonight. This is a Waxhaw property that the county collects their tax.
Yeah.
So, and we don't send the village currently right now does not send a tax bill to our residents unless they own the house outright. The county does send one. The county is gonna send it to the mortgage company and a copy of this to every resident.
They send a courtesy.
A courtesy
I'm in
copy.
favor of you, I get it.
So I don't know if it matters to you or not, but I did ask her to get this, just so we know what the bill looks like.
So the one thing I will point out, Town of Waxhaw, they just have the one line item. And I talked to Van Harold this afternoon, and my understanding is that they could put like, because we collect our, they gotta put our stormwater, so they would collect, so there would be like a little indentation underneath Town of Waxhaw and say, VOLP stormwater, what, and that rate.
I was gonna add, that was my question. I was looking through this and it talks about the ad valorem tax, but stormwater is not an ad valorem tax.
Right.
So where is that in this document? I couldn't.
He just, because it's a utility, because I point blank asked him that, he was driving down the road, so he didn't have it in.
I didn't know if it was number 3 about miscellaneous fees and special assessment.
I'm assuming it falls under special assessment.
And then we would pay the 1.25% on that too,
Yes.
so
Correct.
we're probably closer to 10,000.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're gonna pay, and, you know, all of our interest, anything they collect, they get 1.25%.
Which they have reduced in the past few years.
Yes.
It was 1.5%. I don't know why they reduced it. I'm not
Because
saying
they
that.
took Waxhaw in, and that dropped it from 1.5 to 1.25.
I think they said they were, that the experience factor
Yeah.
also, that they felt that was fair, but it was a really nice surprise when they did that. One other thing that's kind of curious is, some months you'll get an amount and they'll have, a refund of taxes that have been previously collected. And they'll reduce your tax collection fee on that refund, which I found kind of curious.
Yeah, and in the email, I had mentioned Cheryl, Wesley Chapel uses them, so she was.
You know my question.
The county has offered, this past year was the first time they ever allowed for payment plans. So they sent out a division, they take this $2,371.82 and divide it into 4-month payments. If you made a August, September, October, November, or, you know, as long as you pay it before January 5th.
But that's
You
if you
can
don't
make payments.
escrow your.
That's if you don't escrow, right. First, and this really threw a lot of people this year when their county taxes had a payment plan. They were like, well, sure, you always just let me pay. I said, right. Our deal is, as long as you pay, before December 31st. I don't care if you pay me $100 this month and 200 at the, you know, whatever. But the county makes you pay in,
So this is all still, none of this is arrears,
no,
it's all.
this is just your payment coupon to
That's
cut and
okay.
mail your
It's
check.
just like a quarterly tax estimate.
Yeah.
You can also go onto the website, and you can look up anybody's property anywhere in the county, and you can see when they paid their taxes, or if they have not paid their taxes. You wanna be nosy, you can do
I'm extremely nosy.
That's why I've never posted Lake Park's taxes on the website.
What questions or comments or concerns or thoughts? do you have?
I think overall, it's probably the best plan put in place.
The only bad thing is Sheree does such a good job at collecting the taxes that we don't see any benefit from that. That 99.8%, you know.
I think years ago when it started, she was at maybe 90 when she took it over.
It's basically included in your and Sarah's income.
Right.
So to pay an additional 9,000, you know, that's almost what we're paying now. It's like we're paying 18,000 for it. Until you do something or Sarah does it, whatever.
I will say this, go ahead, Steve. One of the things that I talked with Sheree about is, you're not wrong in what you're saying, which is why on that first slide, you know, it allows for some reappropriation of staff time.
Yeah.
So they will do something outside of the tax collection.
Right.
So a question that I had for Sheree this week was, Indian Trail Call. Question I had for Sheree this week is, in the upcoming budget, staff time with Sarah, where do you see that? And she said that she planned to request us to increase Sarah's staff time by 6 or 8 hours a week. We didn't get granular. I didn't ask her what jobs there were. I'm just looking at global numbers thinking.
Right.
And I said, is that if we move taxes out or if we keep taxes in? She said, well, that would be if we keep taxes in-house. I said, well, okay, if we go this route, does that number change? And she said, yeah, it'd probably cut it in half to 3 or 4 hours additional week time that she's gonna request us to consider for Sarah. So I say that to say, you're not wrong in what you're saying, that it's built into their salary now, and we're gonna pay 9,000 to get it. But they're gonna be allotted to do other things that are already about to come to us for and say they need more time, they need more staff time. And again, I don't know what it is, I didn't ask, it's certainly something for council to ask in closed session when we talk specific jobs. But you're not wrong in what you're saying, I'm just giving you a backside to that.
But it could be worked out to where that additional time be calculated into what we would save by not having those time for Sarah. In other words, if we keep them doing the taxes and Sarah now adds 3 more hours a week, well, that, you know, times up to, you know, for a year, what that amount is, it's even gonna approach or maybe surpass the 9,000.
It could, yeah.
Yeah. And if she cuts down, and if they didn't do the taxes, then Sarah would basically get a cut in hours.
No, she's gonna ask for Sarah's hours to increase one way or the other.
Right.
But if we keep taxes in hand, a rough number that's been thrown out is 8 additional hours a week. If we give taxes to the county, probably 4 hours extra a week, 3 or 4 hours extra a week. So all I'm saying is, based on that information,
Well, then her 4 hours extra a week plus what she's 20 to 25% now. Then 4 more hours, even though you have to pay 8 more hours a week, 4 hours added on to her 25% now is gonna increase it anyhow.
you lost me a little bit, but we're on the same track.
So how many hours does Sarah work a week now?
4 times 3, 12 to 15 hours a week.
So if she goes to 20 instead of 24 hours a week. 4 hours for taxes, 4 hours for anything else, because you wanted to add 8 hours a week to her. So,
I'm not adding hours for tax.
Yeah, we're not adding.
no, I know you're, well, yeah, but you're saying that
I'm adding hours for other things.
Would you have to add hours though, if she was reducing it by, what would we say, 25%?
20 to 25% is what the thought is. That's why if we hand out taxes, she wouldn't ask for 8 hours, she's asking for 3 or
She had
4
to ask
hours.
for any though, I mean,
Say again?
which, how many is she working a week?
Yeah.
Well, I think what we don't know here is what they want the
That's
extra
what I
time
mean, you'd have to
for,
cut her hours.
what jobs are they needing done?
Yeah, I think we need to know all those pieces before we could say to do this or not, but.
I don't, well, I,
Well, I-
If you do away with their taxes, then she's got 20 to 25% more time on her.
Yeah, more time on it.
Well, those hours can easily be filled. There are things that need to happen, i.e.,
And then plus adding 8 more hours?
no,
Plus adding 4 more hours.
but we can.
that's at
the hours
budget
at
time,
the
I was
same.
just saying, I was just giving an example of.
So,
Yeah, I understand, but
There are things that we need to be doing that we don't necessarily get the time to do. And so there's like, you know, as we're moving toward permitting, she needs to learn how to be doing permitting and, you know, what's involved in that. You know, there's a lot of things, you know, honestly, in 3 years, I plan on being retired. I've been here 20. You walk around with so much information that you have that you don't think about, but I've grown up with, that I've acquired. So, just like I was checking into clerk school, I would love to send her to, they have a new clerk school and a clerk, then a more anyways, a 3-day program. But the last year and this year, it's in Beaufort, North Carolina, is that how, Beaufort, okay, however they pronounce it.
Beaufort,
South Carolina.
Okay.
I would be correct, but my dad was born and lived and raised in Beaufort, so.
Okay, well, Beaufort is 5.5 hours from here. That's that's just crazy. Normally, it used to be that when Cheryl and I were going and all, you went to clerk school and it was Raleigh or Chapel Hill. To, you know, so, and they think not in this next budget year, in the November class, they're still gonna be back in.
At the beach.
At the beach, and, but the next year, they think it will be more centrally located.
Right.
But there's also like an introduction to planning and zoning class and things like those types of things that she needs experience with. The one thing you know, there's a certain amount of pride when you get to this point that I don't want to just leave you guys and you're like, oh my God. And then there's the other side that you may be saying, bye. But, you know, that is something that some training is going to have to happen, whether it's, and then whoever it is, you're going to have some. So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
I was there a year ago. It can be done. I did all the permits and I did
Yeah.
finance and I did the clerk.
Jim, I heard either, what you got?
well, I'm for moving it, but my question is, when they're sending us the money, or what do we need to do? What does that office need to do?
The
With that
office-
coming in, so it's not that it's 100% going away, it's probably 99% going away. But what needs to be done?
It's extremely easy. They send us a report. I noticed they mentioned the first couple of months, they do it twice a month. And they say, you know, an advice of how much is going into our bank account. And then at the end of the month, they tell us, you know, this was your stormwater, this was your tax, this was your tax collection fee.
Who will handle that, Sheree and Sarah, or that goes to US Finance? So that didn't come back to the office.
But that is also the other side of that, we're gonna be saving in, bank service charges, because
Bank
we're not gonna
service
be
fees.
doing all these deposits.
They charge us for all those and all the running to the bank y'all have to do.
Yeah, see, none of that
And
will
dealing with, you know, she gets in a check for 100,000 and they gotta
post all of that,
post it to
Sarah,
every
you know.
account.
So it may be, you know, that we say, well, I don't think we need any more hours. Let's try not to increase the number of hours for the next budget period. And, you know, let's see. And that's okay. I'm just, you know, whatever is council's pleasure. I'm not trying to muddy
And I didn't mean to
the water.
muddle the water, I was just giving an example of what, when I asked her today, where was she thinking budget, global numbers?
The net result is if we adopt this, when it comes budget time, there will be a savings for what you're asking.
Yes, there will be a
There will be a
savings.
savings, not quite what it is, I mean, not go into specifics of money, but there will be some savings.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, what we're hearing is it's not gonna be
yeah.
paying 9 here and saving 9 here right now, but it's paying 9 here and paying savings here, what is plus what they're gonna ask for.
There,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's a move in the right direction. It seems like the municipalities, the large amount of them that are using them are happy with it. Cheryl talked with her about it, said it's great, so.
It's interesting, Van shared with me that a lot of the municipalities were, as Ken alluded to, at the lower 90s and of collection, which was just appalling. So I was surprised at those.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you were not.
No.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Kind of echo what Joe was saying is, we need to move forward, you know, Sherry is not gonna be here, you know, possibly 3 years from now, she's gonna say, okay, I'm done, see you. And whoever you might get to take over her spot, they might not wanna do, let's face it, anyway, you look at it, what Sherry does is more than 90% of a clerk or administrator's position, she does about 120% above and beyond. You know, as far as, she's not 9 to 5, she could be 9 to 8 at night. Or pick up the phone on a Saturday if we have an issue or a question. You're not gonna get that going down the road. So,
And our most important thing, our money that's coming in, you know, our most important thing, our money that's coming in, we've got that taken care of,
right,
so.
And another thing is it's a better internal control because it's taken all that cash out of this office. You won't have to pay for her bond because you won't be the tax collector anymore.
Oh, that's right, that's a $10,000 bond.
Well, it costs them maybe, I forget, 800 or something.
Okay, I didn't know.
But it is for a bigger amount.
I forgot.
And just it is a good internal control because it's very clear that they collected the money, not anybody in this office.
So it sounds like we're all for it. So can I make a motion to adopt this?
Sure.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the interlocal ad valorem tax billing and collection.
I'll second.
Bruce made a motion, Bruce the second, any further discussion? One piece of discussion, Van did say that you're gonna check into the, confirm the stormwater, you've done that,
Right.
but Ken said we should probably get that.
Just make sure.
Yeah.
that's
And Van did say that
on there.
if we could send to them what we wanted, and then their legal department puts in a DocuSign and sends it out from that side.
I mean, just, I just wanna clarify with them, because Cheryl's right, we need to just make sure that the assessment language is gonna cover the stormwater.
Jim's made a motion, Bruce second, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I will just say that they've always been good to deal with. I had like once or twice where I had a question where there was an amount. And they've been responsive. It's a good relationship.
Item 13E, Councilman Scaldera had asked that this be added to the agenda. I think he sent an email out about it. So I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Well, like Jeremy said, I sent an email out to everybody about some questions that I've been asked. I know can be contentious and I've got to start this off by telling everybody, just make sure you understand 100% what I am asking for here. I am not asking for any single one of us to approve alcohol mixed drink sales. I am asking us to look at, I'm not asking for this to be done tonight either. I'm asking for us to look into adding that into a referendum to allow the citizens of Lake Park to decide whether we want to allow our establishments to serve mixed drinks.
Our restaurants, right?
Our restaurants, yes.
And that's mixed drinks by the glass.
Correct. Correct. There's several reasons for this. One, a current business owner's asked for it. Y'all probably know who it is. The Mexican restaurant has asked multiple times for this. I've had several, residents ask me about it. Mainly they come to me about it because of the beer garden. With my, relationship with Lori, having that, getting that taken care of. When we're talking about it, they're saying, oh, wow, this would be really nice to be able to, the common thing I get, and it'd be obviously more than this, but the common thing I get is it'd be nice to have a margarita with my Mexican food. And they currently can't do that. We are the only municipality in Union County that has approved beer and wine, but not mixed beverages. Everybody else does do that. I say that, I'm not saying, hey, everybody else jumping off the bridge, we do too. I say that because that puts our restaurants on a level playing field with everybody else in the area. I think one of the things when in 2015, when this was originally brought up for beer and wine, the multi-beverages and unfortified wine is the technical term they use on it. One of the things that was brought up was that one particular council person said that they didn't see any proof whatsoever or anything that would give you proof that that would help the restaurants. Well, we've seen restaurants come and go. There was a Chinese restaurant that lasted for a long time without it and they retired and they went out, but every other restaurant has pretty much come and gone. I've seen Italian restaurants come in here, I've seen the Mexican restaurant before come and go. They did have the tail end of the beer, but I think things were a little bit too late for them as that came in. But Puerto Vallarta has done a good job of staying around, and it's nice. And there's a lot of people that I talk to in a lot of other communities that actually mention that oh, that's they have the Mexican restaurant there. That's really nice. I like it there. It is good for the town having prosperous businesses, and I think this will help that. And I think it's only right to ask the people what they think. If they want it or not, and we're not going to make that decision. We can't. This has to be done. One of two different ways to get this on the ballot is us agreeing to it, or somebody start a ballot or a petition to get 35% of the voters. Well, we can't get 35% of the voters to do anything, so that just will never happen. So I'm working on this. I've been working with Ken some on this. I think we do have the sample resolution in here, correct?
No, Sheree got, I guess, paper saved.
Okay.
So I already drafted it just in case you were gonna do it or think
Well,
about
I
it.
didn't want to,
Let me cram it down somebody's throat.
It's in the packet though, Sheree, electronically, you said?
Yeah,
Right.
it's in the
okay,
packet.
everybody has it in their packet,
I'm
and,
sorry.
and if there's something that somebody's there was, in the last resolution, somebody had some offense for some of the wording in it. So if there is something in there that wants to be changed or altered, we can certainly look into it, and I can, forward it over to Ken to see.
It's very simple and very straightforward. The language for the referendum is statutorily corrected. And it's funny that you brought up, 2015, since you sent me that email, I've been thinking to myself, why didn't we have that on that? Or, why wasn't that part of the voting? I don't remember. I can't, it doesn't really come to me as to what the reasoning was at the time, but apparently it did exist. And I sent a copy of the potential resolution to the Board of Elections, just to say, hey, if this was passed and it got to you, is it gonna meet muster for you guys? They haven't responded to me yet. They will. They're responsive.
There's, I did look into that a little bit, asked around to some people on Sheree. I had an unrelated talk with your former Mayor Cleveland about this on something else, and basically it seems like this was originally brought up the way it was with beer and wine, just to get our feet wet into it and to not rock the boat too much, to see how it all worked out and to see what kind of problems it may or may not create. There were some people that came in and spoke to council and thought that it was a bad idea, that it was going to create problems, for the neighboring houses. And, there was a lot of talk of underage drinking because of it. I don't quite understand that. There was talk of that. Increased drinking and driving, which, again, I think that was pretty much proven unfounded, of that being a problem. So, people got their feet wet with it, and there was some talk of start with this and then move on. It's been 9 years and nobody's moved on. And I've been asked the question enough that I thought it was time to bring it up. it's my timing for this, like I said, first off, I'm not planning to take any action tonight on this, because I want everybody to be able to look into it, think about it, and possibly get the word out so that, some people can come to our next meeting if they want to talk for or against it. So we can get, the public's feeling of it. I think the best way to get the public's feeling myself is to put it on the ballot, and we're gonna know right away of, whether they like it or not. But the second part of the timing with this, of doing this with the next election is it's a presidential election that promises to be contentious, so we should have good turnout for that particular reason. Being a countywide election at that time makes this of no cost to us to put it on the ballot at all. So there's no fee. There's times when if we put something on the ballot, it does cost us. This will not cost us at this time. So I think it's good for that. And to be honest with you, one of the other reasons to do it is there's nobody at this time, none of us are up for reelection at this time. And again, I don't want this to be confused with the fact of that we're voting in, alcohol sales, and for anybody to think of that as something against any of us or for any of us, because that's not what we're doing. We're just asking people what they want.
Steve, we only have, I think you were probably hinting at this, we only have mixed beverage sales in our state. You can't sell, bottles of alcohol because it's controlled by the ABC Commission. So that's why it's limited to mixed beverage.
I have one question, and I've been through the different steps over several years in Wesley Chapel. I thought when you do a mixed beverage, that you also had to put on to have an ABC store, not that you have to open an ABC store, but that for some reason they made you vote on that. Because at Wesley Chapel, we had it, we passed the mixed drinks. And I don't know, I think maybe it passed an ABC
Maybe I'll hear
store,
something.
but we didn't want to open an ABC store.
That was
But
one
they still
question
made
I
you
had,
put it on the
'cause-
resolution.
Well, maybe that will be, something that the Board of Elections gets back to.
And maybe it's changed, I don't know.
Because the sample resolution that I found did state in it to allow on and off premise sales. That's why I was asking you, would we even have to put that in there if we didn't have plans for an ABC store?
Right, 'cause I think that the on premises and off premises sales are for malt beverages and fortified wines. They're not for mixed beverages. Whether or not there's anything regarding having some availability for it, I don't know. I've not heard that, but I haven't looked at that closely. Again.
If you sent it to ABC, the
Yeah.
ABC Commission, they would certainly bring it
Oh,
up.
sure they would, yeah.
Thoughts or comments from you guys?
Yeah, I just have just to add one thing. At the very last bullet, you say the business application dependent upon NCABC process. The restaurant owners will have to go through a process. They'll have to go, more than likely, they're gonna have to go to Raleigh and take a class to be able to get that pouring license. So it's not like they're just gonna say, hey, it's passed and they're
Correct,
selling.
bottles and goods. There's a process to it.
NCALE controls that, and I can tell you, I've defended multiple people from violations of alcohol sales, or what happens a lot of times with businesses is they want to make a profit and they'll use what they can buy off the shelf versus buying a bottle that's specifically marked for commercial sales and AF for tax purposes, and ALE is all over that, and they will revoke your license. And if they don't revoke it, the monetary penalties are fairly stiff, $5,000 for a first offense, that kind of thing. It's not.
They have a process. They're pretty good at, they can figure out exactly how much you're supposed to be using and what you're using. They're very good.
Those bottles gotta have those certain labels on
It
them.
does.
You gotta scrape it off the old bottle.
You're right,
throw it
they're very attentive to
So
that.
I'm just getting at it, there's a whole process in there. It's not just gonna be, hey, we're gonna go buy something and start selling
Yeah,
it.
the day after the election, you can't go get
Right. It's gonna take them time to get that license. So.
And there's a form that the mayor has to approve. Say a new business comes into town and they want to sell alcohol. You have to approve the applicant and the location or whatever. There's like two things and, chances are you're going to say yes, but if for some reason you didn't want that location selling it, you can disapprove it. Yeah.
Mark, anything? Steve?
Good.
Bruce?
You do have if you're gonna do it this year, I don't remember what the deadline is, but it's, summertime, I think it's June maybe or something like that. It might be on the list of their fraud.
July is to ask for approval of this.
At the next meeting, I plan on making a motion for this. So,
Okay.
Sure, public hearing about it?
no public hearings is required for this, although that doesn't mean you can't put it out there and people come in and talk to us.
Correct, it's not required, but it's certainly not prohibited out there.
Anything else?
I think we covered it all. Thank you for your time on that.
Thank you.
Mark, community information report.
Oh, I got a little bit. All right, first of all, the Lake Park Swim Team, registration is now open. The first swim meet is on June 3rd at home against Beverly Crest. And if you want any more information on the swim team or want to sponsor or whatever, it's www.lakeparkswimteam.com. The Lake Park Master HOA is holding their 2024 Lake Park Kite Festival on Saturday, March 16th from 10 to 2 at Founders Park. There's going to be face painters, vendors, games of all sizes, games and prizes, toddler play area, naturally kite flying, and other fun activities. The kites are available at no charge while supplies last. Food trucks will be in attendance, the Smash Patty, the Donut Shack, and the Big Kahuna Shaved Ice. And if anybody's interested in becoming a vendor or a volunteer, contact Natalie Ingstrom.
I hear they're having a DJ there too.
We didn't close the road around there, right? It's
No, just the
No, they
park,
didn't ask.
just the parts, all they asked for.
Those food trucks are gonna be on the street, not on the.
Correct, yeah, they'll be.
Because they might lose a few.
And the Master HOA has their next meeting on March 17th at the community center at 6:30 PM. The Lake Park Garden Club, next meeting is on March 18th at 7 PM. The topic will be wildflowers by Lisa Tompkins at the Carolina Heritage Nursery. Sages.
Sounds like a wild movie.
Huh?
Little sleeper.
You wanted to run that? Sages, they met last Friday on March 8th. They had a baked potato bar at the community center. And their next meeting is on April 12th. Details to be determined. The Lake Park Social Club, every second Friday night. They met last Friday at Luna's Pizza, and the next meeting is on April 12th. Details to be determined. The Booked on Saturdays, which is their book club portion of the Lake Park Social Club, it's actually pretty good. I mean, they're getting a lot of people coming. They met on March 2nd at Kathy Coggins' home on Craft, and she just had a throat operation, so prayers for her. This last time they served fresh fruit, an assortment of muffins, powdered French toast, tea, coffee, and orange juice. I mean, they had pictures and stuff. It was really looked good. I might even drink one, but I have to wear a dress. So good. The next meeting is on April 6th at 10:00 AM at 4015 Balsam Street. And I believe that's Deanna Brantley's house. And they plan to discuss Wise Gals by Natalie Holt. It's a women's club, so they expect it. And the Newtown, there's a Newtown Center. There's a Newtown Center tenant coming, unofficial news. I talked to her. She's having a place called the Energetic Apothecary. Her name is Tammy Schoolcraft. And it's basically a wellness guide and energy balancing practitioner.
So what does she do?
Stay tuned, huh?
What does she do?
I think they kind of go
Yoga?
over your back and it lifts you up automatically or something like
Is
that.
it low
Am I
trash?
close?
Levitation?
I watched the video on their site. It's like, wow, that actually happens. So anyhow, there you have it.
All right.
Exciting stuff.
Newsletter information, you got plenty of stuff?
You got anything specific for me? Go ahead and let me have it.
Please put in again, pool memberships.
Pull again, all right. You want the fishing lessons in there again?
Please.
I think you ought to put in there about the street crossing signs with those people, I see so many people just walking out across in front of cars.
Yeah.
Never even touch those signs.
I know, I
slap them in the face.
Actually, I crossed over with Wilton, we were doing a walk through around the neighborhood a little bit. And, I used the flashers coming over and I came back, was busy taking a picture. Standing out in the street, that's probably why I got this thing. And, but I didn't hit the light, so I, 50-50 on that, so I'll get better.
Okay, the right thing about waste? Waste.
Which-
That,
Negotiating your contract.
No,
Oh, if,
to return to any damaged cake.
if you need some
Yeah, new roll cards.
new terms. A lot of people have been asking
Sheree,
about that.
didn't they say they would charge us if we got more than one though?
Yeah, what they're talking about is, you get one trash cart and one recycle cart.
If we had a damage.
And if it's damaged, they'll give you another one.
They give you another
But we have
one.
both, like,
Yes, if you have more than one trash cart, you are charged for that.
You know how many, are there a couple people that have?
There are a couple,
Do we need to be getting together, the folks that have the 18-liter bin? We need to get their names, right? I mean, that's,
no, as they're
We just have
driving
them.
around,
okay, I thought they said they
It
were.
sounds
out
like they were
there.
getting it together.
If you
Yeah.
have a hand tote bin, you need to turn it in for a new one.
well,
Yeah.
you won't, they will take it in and
Just give it.
transition.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just leave it up.
I'll get you some parking rep stuff.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, good.
Do we want to say that at this point, that this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen? Or we're gonna get rid of waste bins and all going to waste carts?
It's premature, because the new contract's not gonna hit until what, July?
Right, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
so, yeah, I agree.
Do it in June.
They probably do want to at some point or another mention it, because there's some people that if they just don't have any recyclables that week or many, they won't even take it out. And that week that that they're gonna
Right.
pick them up and check it, you probably want to say something then.
You can tease it. Pay attention, no changes come in and collect trash
The
collection.
village is in the process of
So
negotiating.
right now,
new
just
waste.
leave it, if you have a broken trash can.
Even the broken one, and then just say the village is in the process of negotiating the contract. And yeah, just leave that teaser out there.
If you see water stand on sidewalks, call Bruce.
Yeah, in July, June.
Anything else for the news, though? Specific? If you do, get it tomorrow.
Alrighty. You gotta quit laughing.
She was picturing.
I can't get through with a straight face.
Council comments, Bruce?
Oh, that's Steve.
I know. I've been down the corner of my-
I think you were checking to see if we knew who each other were. At least we're getting done before 11 tonight, so I think that's very good. You know?
Mark?
What?
Any council comments? Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right, Steve.
What, the only comment I got, what's going on in the corners up there?
Oh, that's the,
Where they're
North
changing
Carolina
those things out?
state- It's a state road. so
But are they
they're-
almost done with that?
Yeah.
I mean, are they gonna come back and backfill and all that
Yeah.
stuff?
They've been working on it, they're out there working again today.
I know some other areas have done that, and I was like, yes.
I saw it today, and I told Sheree this would meet with Union Power up there. There are areas on Union Indian Trail Road where it appears they're done and gone, that are not backfilled.
That's right.
So I'm watching that,
We're
so
paying
that we can
attention.
get on the
They were
horn.
out there today, over by Conifer, working on a couple of them, but
Yeah, I saw they had a mess over there.
It's
Yeah.
peculiar that they seeded and strolled at the same intersection, two corners, but not the other two. And the other two are finished, so it's weird how they're doing it, for sure.
Oh, one other thing, the, in Society and one of the other streets up there with the brick townhomes.
Uh-huh.
They made an announcement that they were gonna trim some trees.
Yeah.
On two streets, they basically leveled them and stumps to be removed shortly. Just a little barren spots. Just- Have you seen it?
Yes, I went by there, so Will Ortiz, who's an arborist, went by and evaluated those trees and they did not, they just needed trimming, they were healthy. And that information was passed on to that HOA and that's HOA property.
Yeah, it was the HOA that basically decided it was too much sap on your car and stuff like that. I'm not gonna name any names, but
it's really got nothing to do with this end of the village, so.
Thankfully.
That's somebody else's fight on Facebook right now.
Jim, Joe,
I hope to see everybody out at the Kite Festival. Seems to be fun. Please come see me. And just a question, why is this in our packet?
Jim,
That was,
I thought that
I was
was in
gonna
laptop
bring
for a
up a discussion about, so, okay, I'll talk about that right now. Okay. That
Jim's
picture
comments.
is a picture of the condos waste collection area. So we are getting rid of totes. They have all totes. So in the contract, we put it up, when we put it up for bid, it was one roll cart per unit, yes. And there's no place to put 29 roll carts. Do they actually need 29 roll carts for the condos? Doubt it very much. So I was there today going through and taking a look at where could we put carts, how many carts could we put there? So the process, the thought is that back section of the wall where the dumpster is the only place that could possibly handle carts, and that can hold 2, maybe 3 carts. So we will put what we can fit inside right there and then see the use. If they get totally full, then we have to come up with some more carts, which not a problem. But it's where do they go? So I'm thinking we put, like you said, 2 or 3 carts there. They have to walk out and throw their trash away. So they can walk out and put their recyclables. when they
If
do
you
their
fit enough
trash.
there, it's an obvious place to put it, yeah.
That's what that is for, but we
I just
didn't,
wonder why.
I just didn't get into that whole
whole.
discussion, but
Okay.
that's it.
Are you behind the sign that they put up, like, this is ours, stay away, no trespassing?
It only says Mark Richards.
Okay, gotcha.
Ken?
I mean, they really marked that, this is ours, you leave it alone.
Sure.
Then I found out the village paid for it.
I just want to say thank you, guys. And please don't start a rumor because I am not retiring. I've had 3 people ask me that this past week, so it's like.
It's recorded now, so.
I must have gray hair, I don't know. But I do think moving the tax collection is a good move, and I agree with Cheryl, especially from the, it's a lot of money that comes in here each fall. And so I think that that will be, just from a checks and balance standpoint, a good move, and it will also that's a responsibility to, just like everything else, you grow with it, and, tax collection is a good move, and I appreciate your continued support with things that, the office and all that we do, so thank you.
Sure.
I know you're tired and you want to go home, but I do have a couple of things I'll do quickly. Last year we did our budget meeting on May 2nd, so at the next meeting, we'll have to come up with a date for our budget meeting. Also, I talked a little bit with Jeremy, and I think I maybe made a comment in a meeting. What I'd like us to do is to try to look at some of our line items. And one example is we have the electrical maintenance, and then we added the technology last month. And I probably feel like technology probably is a general government function. Electrical maintenance, I'm not sure what exactly it is. But if you look at our audit report, and I can send an email out to you, our expenditures should be by function. So you have general government, you have public safety, which is like the police. You have environmental protection, which is waste collection, stormwater, and the related capital outlay. You have planning and zoning, you have transportation, which is street lights and signs and street repairs, PAL bill things. You have park and rec, and I think a lot of our money historically has just been allocated to park and rec. And I think probably some of it, and you all know better than I do, because you know how the town, the physical layout and what you're doing under things. There's probably a few things that are under park and rec that might be better allocated to a different function. So when you do the budget, this is the best time to make some fine adjustments. And I don't want to mess with, an account with $200 or anything that's, not needed. But if there's some things that maybe should be reallocated, we could do that. And one little thing is we can just have one account for events, I think, and that would simplify things a little bit. So something to think of.
Thanks, Cheryl. Just to tag on to that, first of all, I thank council and staff for all the hard work that's going in. I mean, we look at this tonight's agenda, and it didn't look like that much, but there are a lot of tough, lot of good details and decisions that have to be made, and I think that everybody's doing a great job. I would ask you to start looking at your early May calendars. And one of the things that I think has happened in the past, in the 4 years I've been on council, is that budget meeting night, we've started at 7, and it gets late and everybody's ready to go, and there are details that just either get pushed to the side or just left for the office to go handle. So I'm gonna ask that we start our budget meeting at least at 6 p.m. Maybe have some pizza here, let's get started, let's have a meeting. If we need to, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think that it's important that we take the time to set the budget the right way, with some time to get accounts to things that make better sense. Just because it's been done for 25 years or 22 years or 15 years doesn't mean it's right, it doesn't mean it's wrong. But let's do the best we can, as I told Sheree and Cheryl, let's get this place set for the best way we can for whoever we hand it off to whenever we do. And I think there are opportunities to do that. So let's be looking at our time for May, and we'll try to do something a little bit earlier than we have and get that done. I thank you all and wish you a happy Easter. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Jim's made a motion, Bruce seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, bud.
Good to see you.
Very short.